Welcome, everyone, to the 72nd iteration of Playtest This. Welcoming now Vassalage. Why don't you guys tell us a little bit about how you came to be here? It's a three-person design team.
You want to take it, Neil?
Sure.
What's that?
Sure. So we've been working on Vassalage for about 2 years, but we've been working on board game development and dreaming or talking about board game development for years before that. So we had been talking about a game. Well, I guess I should introduce us first. So this is John Elliott and Chris Elliott are my cousins. They're brothers. So we all live, we grew up in southern New Hampshire, and we all still live in that area. So yeah, we've been close since we were kids, and we like board games and all kinds of other games. So we've played a lot of different stuff and kind of got us into trying to design our own. So that's sort of how we got here.
Sweet.
So our start on board game design was for a space-based module for Dungeons and Dragons.
Cool.
And that sort of developed in a few different directions, kind of grew to something a bit unwieldy that we're still dealing with now. But in the meantime, we decided to look at some other projects and sort of put more of our energy into vassalage. So
Yeah.
Yep.
Cool. Awesome.
Chris, John, did I miss anything important?
We're good. Feels about right.
Okay.
All right, sweet. Well, let's introduce our star-studded panel of guest playtesters. Sasha, tell the kids at home who you are and how they can support you.
Hi, my name is Sasha Jelton. I'm a designer in Portland, Oregon.
Most
I
official.
yes, I need to make an evergreen. Let's I am in Portland, Oregon. I'm a designer. I teach board game design to elementary, middle school kids. And I also co-run Playtest PDX, a group in Portland for designers to meet up and playtest and that kind of thing. Designing a bunch of different games. Got my first game signed this last month. Initially at Gamma Expo, but so that's exciting. And then have a bunch more on the way that are states that they could be signed. I just need to find the right person. So we'll see.
Matthew, who the heck are you?
I'm a nobody. No, I'm kidding. I'm a designer in Pennsylvania, working on my first game coming to Kickstarter in June, licensed to Krill, the game that comes in a whale plush. And I'm excited to be here trying this game out.
Heck yeah. Eric, who the heck are you?
Oh, I ask myself that every time I wake up.
What am I
No.
doing here?
Hi. What am I? Yes. What existential threat am I gonna deal with today? Hi, I'm Eric Ledger. I'm a lawyer by day, working for the state, and when I'm not at work and I'm in my hobby time, I do board game design. It's my primary hobby. I've got about 4 or 5 games fully developed, and I'm still working on getting one of them signed. And we'll see if it happens in the near future.
Fair enough. It will, my friend. It will. I'm Evan Halbert. You can go buy After the Empire several copies because they're ginormous and will take up tons of space on your shelf. So you need at least 3 of them, and you can't play them together. So that's why you need 3. And then I have more games coming out in the near future. Hopefully, I will tell you more about that when it's relevant. But thanks for joining us, everybody. We already have a couple of people in the chat saying hi. And for example, Sam said he was going to join, but look how crowded we are. You still could. You could take my spots in, but that's okay. You can also just make fun of us from the chat. Let's go ahead and get into this game. Why don't you give us a teach, guys?
Sure. So John, why don't I read and you do the actions.
Thanks.
So I'm not,
Yeah.
just so I don't have to swap back and forth. All right. So this is a game with a pretty steep learning curve. So we've tried teaching people several times, and on this occasion we decided to actually write out a script, which hopefully doesn't feel too mechanical, but just want to make sure that we can actually get through it and get into the game. So I'll start reading right away. So welcome to Vassalage, a game of conquest and diplomacy set in a growing feudal civilization. In this game, players each represent a noble family competing and conspiring for reign of the land. These hexagon tiles are the building blocks of vassalage. Each represents a barony, the smallest kind of feudal fief that players may control. Players may occupy baronies with these loyalty chits. See John adding some there. Each player has their own loyalty chits, which match the color of their other play pieces, and players may affect loyalty in three main ways. They may reinforce, which is to add one loyalty to a barony they already occupy. They may expand, which is to add one loyalty to an adjacent unoccupied barony, so that's any barony without loyalty in it. Or they may oust, which is to remove one of a rival's loyalty from an adjacent barony. Rivals will just be everyone at the table who's not you. So these three actions each cost one influence, which is a resource granted to all players at the start of a phase. So influence is the little crowns on the bottom left of each playmat. For holding the title of Baron, 2 influence is granted to each player at the start of each phase, and players are awarded more influence when they unify baronies to secure more prestigious titles. There are 3 forms of owning a fief. There's occupy, control, and claim. For baronies, there's not a lot of difference between these most of the time, but the distinction becomes important later on. So players occupy and claim every barony where they have loyalty. Occupying a barony allows players to reinforce it and activate certain special actions on it, mostly actions involving reinforcement. Claiming a barony grants a player all of the special actions and victory points offered by that barony. So that can include things like, you can see some things on your playmat. You'll gain access to those through claiming things. Most of the favors at the bottom, you'll gain access to them by claiming baronies. And then controlling a barony allows a player to expand or oust, as we mentioned, and use other special actions, which tend to be similar. Players control every barony that they occupy unless they share that barony in marriage. So except for marriage, occupy, claim, and control are going to be the same for all baronies. So marriages are a way for 2 players to occupy a single barony simultaneously. They may be offered to another player during their turn or during your own turn. So this is an agreement that 2 players make to create a shared barony that both of them will have loyalty in. To form a marriage on a barony, each partner must pay 1 influence. Marriages allow both players to occupy and claim the barony, but only a partner with more loyalty present controls the barony. So anything that requires control, you'll have to either have more loyalty there, or you'll have to get permission. So a player who occupies but does not control the barony may only act in control of it with their partner's permission. Marriages also act as a sort of truce, preventing either partner from ousting the other from the married barony. This also applies to any guild actions that would oust or remove another player's loyalty from a marriage you share. So before I get into guild actions, how's everyone feeling? Is this mostly making sense, or lose anyone?
Yeah. Can we get divorced?
No,
Okay, just checking.
It's
You
Catholic.
used to be
the
able
Middle
to.
Ages, man.
Polyamory.
Honestly, it didn't happen enough, so we just cut it for the sake of simplicity.
Are there any prenuptial agreements?
None that are binding.
No post nuptials.
All right, so now we'll move on to guild favors. guilds and favors. So each barony is the patron of one guild, represented by the symbol on the barony tile. And claiming baronies of a certain guild grants special actions called guild favors. So one guild favor is granted by each guild of which you claim one patron barony. So each time you get one new barony of each time you get the first barony of a given symbol, you'll get the associated favor. Another favor is granted by a guild once you've claimed 4, 7, and 10 of their patron baronies. So you'll get a second at 4, a third at 7, and a fourth at 10. We usually don't get that high, but just in case. In addition to their other benefits, marriages grant each partner an additional guild favor, matching the barony of the marriage. So another way to get additional favors, aside from getting more land, is to form marriages on baronies of that type. Guild favors are spent during the round and refreshed along with influence when a new phase begins. During each round, players take turns spending any number of their guild favors and exactly one of their influence. So each time it's your turn, you're going to spend one influence and any number of your guild favors, and then you'll pass, and it's going to keep going around the circle until everyone runs out of influence. So you may spend your one influence to reinforce, expand, or oust. Certain guild favors also cost one influence and contribute to the same limit. Marriage costs do not contribute to the spending limit of one influence per turn, even if you marry on your own turn. So anytime a marriage happens, typically both players are paying for it. So if you're both paying one influence, that's not going to make you skip a turn, or it's not going to use up your influence for the turn. All right, so phases. When no one has influence left to spend, it is the end of the phase, and the phase token gets flipped. Phase tokens there on the bottom. There are two different phases, the exploration phase and the development phase. These are really just aesthetic. There are no mechanical differences between them, except that the map expands by a 1 tile radius at the start of each exploration phase. The game lasts a total of 6 phases. So there will be just 2 map expansions, one each in phases 3 and 5. All right, so here are some general descriptions of what each of the guild favors do. The assassin's favors are offensive, allowing you to oust another player's loyalty for free. Sentinel's favors are defensive, allowing you to retreat from an attack rather than losing loyalty or redeploy loyalty for stronger defense. Bard's favors reduce the cost of marriage or allow you to access other newly acquired guild actions. Sailor's favors allow you to cross waterways to move loyalty or gold between your coastal baronies, or to expand oust or steal gold over water at a cost of 1 influence. So that's one of the ones that may cost your influence. Smuggler's favors allow you to move gold or loyalty 1 step at a time. Miner's favors allow you to generate gold at a cost of 1 influence. That's the other one that can cost influence. And that grants victory points at the end of the game. Or you can use Miner's favors to trade gold to replenish favors from other guilds. And finally, Mason's favors extend the range of other actions. So a lot of actions will say you can do something adjacent to this barony. Mason's favors allow you to take another step beyond adjacent. And actually, you can stack them, so you could take multiple steps if you have multiple Mason's favors. Most favors can only be used on or near a patron barony of that guild. So, for example, Assassin's favors can only be used if you have control of an Assassin barony. All right. This is where it gets a little more complicated. So far we've only discussed the game in the context of baronies, but baronies are only the lowest fiefs in the feudal hierarchy. Beyond baronies, there are 4 levels of superior fiefs, including counties, duchies, kingdoms, and empires. Each superior fief is composed composed of 2 or counties contain 2 or more baronies. Duchies
Yep.
contain 2 or more counties. Yes.
You lagged a little bit. You want to just each
Sure. What
superior
was the
fief
last thing
is
you heard?
composed of 2 or more vassal fiefs.
Starting to explain what's above a barony.
So am I good at therefore?
Yeah.
I'll
Yeah,
just
just
back up.
Therefore is good.
Each superior fief is composed of 2 or more vassal fiefs. Therefore, counties contain 2 or more baronies. Duchies contain 2 or more counties. Kingdoms contain duchies, and empires contain kingdoms. Whichever player's play pieces form the connections of a superior fief, that player claims and occupies that fief. So in the case of superior fiefs, the little connections are similar to loyalty in that they define what you claim and what you occupy. Any player who claims a superior fief also claims all of its vassals and all of their vassals. So that's the key difference between claim and occupy, is if you occupy something, then that just means you have the pieces that are right there. So if you occupy a barony, you just have loyalty in the barony. If you occupy a duchy, it means you have the actual duchy connection. But for claiming, if you claim a duchy, then you also claim all of its counties and all of its baronies.
So as an example, this duchy right here, that's a duchy marker, has 2 counties. One of them is occupied by blue, one is occupied by yellow. Blue still claims this yellow one and gets all the benefits of it.
Does
Does that
yellow
make sense?
also get the benefit of it too? Or does blue
Yes.
steal it from? Okay.
Yellow gets the
county,
benefit
yeah.
of this, but yellow does not get the benefit of this half of the duchy or
Got
the
it.
duchy
Okay,
overall.
yeah. Okay.
So what was that? Any player who claims a superior fief also claims all of its vassals and all of their vassals. Claiming a superior fief grants a player all of the influence, guild actions, and victory points offered by that fief or its vassals. So multiple players can claim the same things because if you are a count with baronies owned by other players, then both players own the baronies, but only the count claims the county. All right. So during their turn, a player may spend their 1 influence for the turn to unify, which creates a new superior fief across 2 or more connected vassal fiefs. So this is the moment where you can take some baronies that you've collected and connect them into a county. So that's another way of spending your 1 influence for the turn. A player may unify a new superior fief that includes vassals controlled by other players, but the player in control of each vassal fief must consent to the unification. So this orange barony in here could be connected as part of this county, only if he consented to join it. Right? Counties can only be unified from occupied baronies, but after they are united, those baronies could become unoccupied without affecting the county. So you can't create a county out of empty baronies, but you can empty out the baronies of an existing county. All right, now rebellion. A rebellion is one player's attempt to flip a superior fief to their own color. Players may rebel during their turn at the cost of their 1 influence for the turn. So that's the last of 5 ways of using your 1 influence. Well, the 5 basic ways without guild actions. When a rebellion is declared against a superior fief, each of its direct vassals get 1 vote in support of either the rebel or the incumbent. Yep, John set up a situation here where it's possible for orange to rebel against this blue county and flip it to orange because orange has 2 votes in this county and blue only has 1. Yep, there you go. Does that make sense? Still with me?
What is the county?
County is everything within these connections.
Okay,
So we've got county roads, we've got duchy roads, we've got kingdom
Got
roads,
it.
we've got empire roads.
got it.
And they're all
Yeah, so
composed
one
of
thing-
different type of fief below them.
Yeah, one thing you'll have to pay attention to is that each of the roads may have a different texture to it. So there's two orange roads that are just the flat curve, but then this blue road has duchy sort of battlements. And that means that this duchy connection is not part of this county connection. This whole county over here is part of the duchy.
Can any type of connection be flipped in the same manner that you just described this county?
Yes.
Yes.
So, for example, if Orange held this county and this county, now Blue has no votes in favor of holding it. So if Orange spends an influence, they have 2 counties versus 0. So they can just flip the duchy for the cost of 1 influence.
Okay.
That's my next line, actually. Rebellions can be declared on any superior fief. For example, the player who controls a county can rebel against its duchy, and each county gets 1 vote cast by the player who controls that county. All right, now, while baronies grant guild favors, superior fiefs may grant guild decrees. These are typically a more powerful or far-reaching version of the guild's favors. There are 2 ways that a county can grant guild decrees. One is if the county contains at least 2 baronies of the same guild, or if it contains a married barony, then it grants that guild's county decree to every player who claims the county. So you can see this orange county up here has 2 sailors' baronies. That means this county would grant any player who claims it a sailor's decree. You have anything to add, John? So you said.
Sorry, let's see. So yes, Orange has that county. Orange gets a sailor's decree. Blue has the duchy that contains that county. So Blue also gets a sailor's decree. But Neil discussed marriage as well. Right, that was part of the prompt.
Yeah, let's
So
do a barony marriage
This other,
to start.
sure, sounds good. So this other county has a pair of bards, but it also has sentinels that have a marriage on it. So that counts twice. So that county now has the sentinels decree as well. So anyone who claims that county gets the sentinels decree, which would be in this case orange and blue.
All right. Each player may only have 1 decree for each guild at each title level. So you have these little circles on your playmat, and you can only put 1 decree in each circle. To gain multiple decrees from the same guild, you'll need to apply the same pattern to superior fiefs. For example, if a duchy contains at least 2 counties that grant the same guild decree, or if it contains a married county that grants a guild decree, then the duchy grants another guild decree for the same guild. So now, where we already had this duchy with a bard's decree from this orange county, there's now a second county here that also grants a bard's decree, and by combining those into 1 duchy, anyone who claims the duchy would get a second bard's decree.
And in this case, that is only blue, since the counties are owned by other people, but the duchy is only owned by blue.
Right. All right. In addition to barony marriages, it's also possible for players to form superior fief marriages. In this case, both players would place their colored connectors to occupy the superior fief. Superior fief marriages cost 1 influence for each superior fief marriage that you already have. So that quantity can be tracked on your playmat using the pink marriage token on the bottom left. These marriages can be formed on one of the partner's existing superior fiefs, or a new superior fief can be created at no additional cost beyond that to form the marriage. So this is another way of unifying a new fief if 2 people decide to share one. Does this make sense, what we're doing with this county marriage?
I think I'm going to have to mess up a lot of things before I understand what's happening.
Yeah,
What are
fair
you
enough.
talking about, Evan? This is clear as day. I don't understand. What are you
I'm gonna make a
The
bunch of
learning curve is
actions,
super steep.
and then
I
after I
promise it's
messed up,
learnable.
I will realize that I messed up.
Oh, yeah.
It's okay.
Did you ever see Parks and Rec when they do the cones of Dunshower?
Cons of yeah.
I feel a little bit like Leslie Knope right now, but I'll get hit.
All right, almost done. In a superior fief marriage, only a partner who occupies more of that fief's direct vassals may exercise control of it. So this is similar to how you need more loyalty in order to control the barony. For a superior fief, you need to occupy more of its vassals. So in the case of this shared, actually that's, oh no, that's not a tie. No, you had it fine.
I'm thinking if we need an example
Well, if we
of
do it like this,
what to use the control for. So with this, even though they both share this county, Orange has control of it. So Orange could overthrow Blue since they would have 2 counties to Blue's 1. That's an example of needing control over a superior.
Where was I? A partner who does not control the superior fief may exercise control of it only if their partner grants permission, same as how control works with baronies. Controlling a superior fief allows a player to unify or support a rebellion against a higher superior fief. And just like you can't oust loyalty from a married barony that you share, you can't rebel against a married superior fief that you share. All right, and finally, I'll go over the guild decrees and generally
Marriages are
what they
always,
do.
Consensual. There's no arranged marriages or forced marriages.
That's correct. Always consensual. Assassins. So looking at some guild decrees, the assassins, sentinels, and smugglers decrees are very similar to their favors, but they can apply anywhere on the map. So for example, while the assassin's favor allows you to oust someone adjacent to that assassin's barony, the assassin's decree allows you to hit anyone anywhere for 1 point for 1 loyalty. Bard's decrees let you reinforce baronies within your marriages, which is helpful because the favors make it easier to get marriages, and then the decrees make it possible to strengthen them. Sailors' decrees let you expand or oust across water for no cost of influence, even if you don't control a sailor's barony by that waterway. Like miners' favors, miners' decrees let you generate gold, but these don't cost influence, and you can place it anywhere on the map. And Mason's decrees let you unify or rebel for free. Or they can also reinforce a barony only from 1 to 2 loyalty. So all of those details are in the mouse over text on your playmats. So anytime you're trying to decide whether to go for one thing or another, it might be worth looking at what those abilities do. All right, and lastly, for the end game, so the game ends after 6 phases, which will include 2 map expansions. If the game goes slowly, which is common for first-time players, climbing the learning curve, we can end it at 4 or 5 phases instead. We'll usually try to decide that a phase or 2 before we get started on the last. And once the game ends, players count up their victory points, and the players with the most points wins. There are 3 things that grant victory points. Those are guild favors, guild decrees, and gold. So at the end of the game, you'll pretty much just count up all of the guild actions you have on your playmat, and then you'll count up how much gold you claim on the map. Is that just about everything?
So gold is the victory point currency. Is it also spent
Yes.
for things?
Correct.
Is it also what?
You
Spent
spend
on
it for
something.
things, right?
So one of the minor abilities is you can spend gold to refresh a favor. Just a favor? Decree 2? No, favor, right?
Any favor,
Yeah.
you can do it on decrees, but it's kind of special case.
Yeah. Okay.
But we'll get to that when we get to that. All right, so we can set the map up now.
Yep.
Just delete all of this.
Oh, I didn't mean to delete that. The bag.
Oh, I might have done that.
So that's how we've got it set up to determine first player.
I thought Evan said he wanted to go first.
Oh, that's fine. Oh,
I think he did say that.
I heard him.
That was your first mistake. This Dookie's coming down on you.
So whenever you guys are ready, feel free to drop on the bag, and whoever gets the highest golds goes first.
Ah,
Pull one from the bag. Oh, I got 0 gold.
All right, it looks like whoever yellow player is.
I start with 5 gold.
it's Evan. Evan's going first.
It's fine. I'll be all right.
So
You can
everybody
mix
starts
it up
with
if you're.
everybody starts with 1 3 loyalty chip and 1 4 loyalty chip, and you're gonna take turns
The
clockwise.
4 is the
placing-
backside of the 3.
Right. And you're gonna take turns clockwise, placing on any of the baronies that are unoccupied on the map. So right now, that's all of them.
Yeah,
Why-
so,
why, would,
you could-
why would we go somewhere? Is it probably the best question for us?
Yeah, let me
Oh, yeah.
let me talk about a little strategy. So starting in the center of the map is probably not a great move. It can be strong in the beginning, but as the map expands, people often get boxed in if they start in the center. As for where you want to aim, remember that forming counties with pairs of baronies, 2 baronies that are the same guild, will give you decrees. And those are usually the more decrees you have, the stronger you're going to be, because you can do more things more often. So generally try to find ways that you can form pairs. It also, depending on where other people go, you can think about cooperating and trying to form a structure together, but yeah, that'll get a little more complicated, but it also can depend on your play style. So if you'd like to be more of an aggressive player, maybe you want to start with assassins. If you want to be more diplomatic, maybe you go for bards, because they're helpful for marriages. If you just want to rush a bunch of victory points, maybe you go for miners. The smugglers are a pretty strong place to start, because if you use the favor on the yeah, is that Chris and John
It's John
giving an
moving him.
example? Yeah, if you start on the smuggler, then you can actually spend the smuggler favor to get a free move off of the smuggler, which gives you an extra barony, which can be a big deal to start the game. But yeah, I'm afraid none of you are going to have a solid strategy right out of the gate until you have a better sense of what everything does.
Well, my strategy is going to be unbeatable.
And the thing is, different things seem strong in every game we've run, so I don't know if that happens to speak to the balance of it, or if it's just that everything's all over the place, but there's no particular start that either of us gravitate towards.
I
You're
love
gonna
that
come
you
at me
immediately
just
go
like
for
that?
conflict.
Oh my gosh, you guys.
I mean, you asked
No.
about forced marriage,
I'm
and
just kidding.
picking spots in your other players kind of incentivizes them to marry you. It's not forced.
Coming
but-
I mean,
at me.
Between the 4 and the
I'm
3.
just making. I'm just trying to make a move on Evan.
Wow.
The difference between the 4 and the 3 is how much we have there.
Yeah, so as people attack you, your loyalty is going to go down. So 4 is harder to take you off the map.
Yeah,
Why-
it's
why
basically
would-
a health bar.
Okay. Why wouldn't we start with
it-
the 3? It kind of be like more held to the chest what we're doing.
Because we're playing for the first
'Cause
time and we don't know.
We're not cowards.
I don't-
we
I'm
did
not
it.
a
You're
coward.
saying 3 different territories, or starting with 3 influence on
Starting with
both?
the 3
Well,
chip instead of
our
the
3
4
chip instead of our
Oh,
4 chip.
oh,
He's commenting on how everyone
Yep,
put
the
their
order of
stronger
it,
chip
yeah.
down
Yeah.
first.
He's making fun of his rivals, which is a good way to start.
Yeah. He's.
Nah,
Let's just all pounce.
the
Just
Lord hates a
random.
coward.
Oh, whoa.
You want to marry Anne or what?
Whoa.
So do I generally want to play my things near each other?
If you want to form a quick county on your own, yes.
Mhm.
If you are looking to form counties with other players through marriage, you can get away with spreading sometimes. It
Mhm.
can be tough though.
Oh, there's something I didn't mention, which is that you can form connections through water, but you can only have one
Oh,
water tile in each new fief. So you could
And-
form a county that connects through one tile of water.
otherwise, water tiles are not occupied in any way.
Chris, your mic keeps like your lab and then quiet, so I don't know which way you can set this.
Let's see
All
how
right.
bad of a move that is.
So now that everyone has placed their stuff, we're going to count up who gets which favors. So I'm looking at yellow. Yellow's got a smugglers and a sentinels. So we're just going to pop favors on smugglers and
Sorry,
sentinels.
was that?
We all did the same?
Yep, everyone does.
Simultaneous? Okay.
And that's just every round
Oh.
at the start, or every phase at the start. Everyone counts up their stuff. Cool. And then whenever let's see, the green gets miners, sentinels. Yeah. So whenever yellow is ready, they can spend their smuggler's favor if they want, which allows them to move loyalty around, just around locally the smugglers.
Mm-hmm.
They could spend their sentinels, which is kind of useless right now, but if they get attacked or if they have something next to their sentinels, it's useful. And then they spend one influence to either reinforce, expand, or oust. And then they pass to the next player whenever they're done doing any combination of those three things.
Who's that?
Whoever yellow is, because they're the first player.
I'm yellow.
That's you, Evan.
Uh,
Do I need to put your name on the board so you remember who you are?
no, I know who I am. I just need somebody to describe this iconography for me. So
No, you
Grab the what?
I'm looking at Sentinel's favors. Tell me what I'm looking at.
Great. So if somebody were to attack you on these smugglers, your loyalty would go down. Since you have these sentinels,
What's my loyalty?
The number of pips
it's
and
4 on these smugglers
Number
right
of
now.
pips. Got it.
So if someone hit you, your loyalty would go down 1.
Uh-huh.
But you could spend these sentinels to absorb that into the sentinels. So you didn't lose the loyalty.
You're
And
just
then
it's
retreating.
redirecting it.
And how would I know that?
Right. how it
Hover the mouse over the green bar at the bottom on your player board, it'll give you some little tips, I think.
the rulebook also has all of these.
Well, let me pretend I have the designers here so I don't have to look at the rulebook. So tell me
it's a lot.
Tell me what I'm looking at on these icons to tell me
Yeah, he's
what you
looking at
just told me.
specifically above the little.
Okay, I can speak to that. So all of that, I see what you're asking. All of that iconography is meant to be more of a an aid to remember what you read in the rule book or otherwise. I think a lot of it is tricky to interpret just from the symbols, but what you're seeing on these, first of all, you only want to look at the icons underneath the favors because the top half is for decrees. So what you're looking at for sentinels, the top, the bottom pair of things, the top one of those is showing that if the gray player, which is some other rival, attacks you, causing a decrease of 1 loyalty,
Is that the
then
minus
you
circle?
can, yeah, that's the minus. Then you can respond by spending this favor to add 1 to an adjacent sentinel's barony.
Spend
you
a
occupy.
favor.
Yep, which is this.
And then I'm moving a favor also. There's a favor with an arrow going over.
The C, the green C.
No, I'm still looking at that the 3 long one.
I think this is loyalty,
Oh, okay.
not favor. The dots.
Yeah, the arrow is not meant to indicate movement if it has a symbol on it. The arrow is just more like a line of action. So because you have this here, it's saying you can add one to the thing next to it. These
Okay.
could probably use some work, but
Okay, I'm in too deep. Just tell me what I can do right now. What are my options?
Yeah.
so you could spend your smuggler's favor to move your loyalty on either of these by one space. It has to be moved from and to a space that's on or adjacent to the smuggler's barony.
I can't, like, you have to use favors to move.
No, that's just one thing that you can do with the smuggler's favor.
Okay.
You can't. There's one thing you can do with the Sentinel's favor, which is more the reinforce action, which is you can move one from Sentinels to Smugglers. But more likely what you're interested in doing now is spending your influence, which can reinforce, expand, or oust. Or you could unify, actually. So reinforce would just be you add a pip to one of your baronies.
Mhm.
Expand would be you add a pip to one of the empty baronies around you. Oust would be you knock one pip off of blue here. And unify would be you can combine your two baronies into a duchy. Sorry, a county.
And another option is to ask Blue if he wants to form a county for marriage.
Do you want to marry me, Sasha?
I'd love to marry you.
Okay, we're married.
All right. So since you guys have 0 marriages on the board right now, it costs nothing.
Perfect. Free marriage.
But we're
Yeah,
going
one
to
for
take
free.
your county
There's-
roads.
There's no trip to the local priest or anything. It just
No, none of that. Just you got it. So we're going to take your county markers and set up a married county. So next round, you guys will be counts. You'll gain 1 influence. And since there's a pair of sentinels in this county, you'll also gain the sentinels to free.
Is that right now?
Not right now,
No.
but next phase.
Cool.
You're setting up for next phase.
So that was my action. I got married.
flip.
That was free.
Oh, that was
that's,
free.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right, because it doesn't take your turn.
Okay,
Right.
now what are my options?
Still
Same
the
as-
same as previous ones, except
What,
you can't
and what were
unify anymore.
those?
You get to steal a pip, you get to move into new territory, and you get to allocate your pips, and there was something else.
Okay, I'm
Yep.
gonna.
Yeah, so the main actions to do with influence are reinforce, oust, or expand. So that's either add one to what you
You're
have,
using too
take
many
one from
too
what
many flavor words. Just tell me what I
Yeah,
can
fair
do on
enough.
the board.
you can add a pip to your baronies. You
Yep.
can remove a pip from his barony, or
Uh-huh.
you can add a pip to an empty barony next to you.
Great. I'll add a pip right here.
Sounds good. So we will spend 1 of your influence to do that.
Okay.
Is that the smuggler or is that the influence? That's the influence one, right?
That's just
That's the
influence.
influence
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
Cool.
okay.
Very,
And then
very-
whenever you're set, you pass to the next player.
I pass.
And so with using the smuggler's ability or the sentinel's ability, that doesn't use an influence, or does use an influence?
They do not use influence.
Yeah, it's only the like the ones that are showing it.
Yep.
Yeah.
here. Okay.
Sailor and miner.
Masons can be used without influence.
Okay.
Masons can extend the range of your influence actions
But
from
what
Masons.
what does this influence being flipped over a symbol mean?
That is, sorry, go ahead.
If you use the Mason's action from a Mason's tile, you're effectively just increasing the range of your influence abilities.
Mhm.
You could instead use the Masons to extend, for example, your smugglers, and that would not cost influence. Smugglers do not cost influence.
Got it. Okay. Let's go with I
The lines between the circles with the pips that create those counties, I think you called it. Is that a little bit like an engine build? Do you get more reoccurring something or another because of that?
You get decrees starting from the next phase, which
Well,
is like more
decrees,
powerful
but-
favors.
I'm not
Okay.
sure we mentioned if you are at least a count, you get 1 more influence. If you see that second row up above the influence, for each higher fief you have control of, you get an extra influence each round.
got it. Which is essentially more
More
main
actions.
actions.
Yep. And to be clear, you
I
only
did-
get one. Like if you had 4 counties, you would still only get 1 influence for being a count.
Mhm.
So it's just your highest.
So okay, if there's a situation where there's a county road between 2 spots, and this gets attacked, or what is the word?
Ousted?
Ousted.
Ousted. Does this county road stay?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay,
And you still occupy it. And you still claim the one that was ousted.
got
You
it.
just cannot use actions from the one that was ousted
Okay,
because you do not control it.
so I think I want to smuggle this down to a 2 to put a 1 here.
Mhm.
And then I will do the is it
Band?
what word is the one for placing a county road?
Unify.
Unify. I will now unify with my influence between those two. Does that work?
Yep, that's
Yes.
perfect.
I need to change my
Um,
Plus
rotation
the
degrees.
rotation angles.
So
Yeah.
think
did
we
you
do
have
60
to
degrees.
spend? Did you have to spend this fancy token?
I did.
Okay.
Yes.
And I believe that's the end of my turn. There's
You had to
nothing.
spend 2 fancy tokens, one from the Baron and one from his
Oh.
action selection.
Well,
'Cause
yeah.
The Baron one was just doing the road, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like it seems like these are sort of bonus actions. These are your main actions.
Okay.
And yeah, so I did a bonus action and a main action,
main action.
is how I'm thinking about it in my head.
Is there any reason you
Yeah,
wouldn't want to
that's-
do,
that
as you
works.
put it, the bonus action to carry it over to the next round? You'd always want to spend them, right?
So
Yep, they
um,
refresh on the phase start,
Yeah,
but not
so
between turns.
yeah, we use 1 influence per turn, so I could save this to use it on my next turn when I'm going to use my next influence, but I probably would want to use it unless there's like no strategic advantage to using it on one of these 2 turns. I just
Yeah.
saw a reason to do it this turn, so I'm using it this turn.
yeah, so you probably want to use everything you can before you run out of influence, but there's not necessarily an advantage to using it all at the
and
start.
remind me, the Sentinels, is that just a reactive thing, or what is the proactive thing that it does? This bottom bit here is
You can
saying what?
reinforce. You can reinforce some.
It's just
Right.
Yeah,
reinforced.
you can.
Okay.
Yeah, you can just move it from one. You can
From
move it from a
a green
sentinel to
spot
anything
to
next to
another
it.
spot. Okay.
Yep.
Which is
However,
Oh, go
for
ahead.
favors, they're almost all local. So you would need to have something adjacent to these sentinels in order to reinforce from the sentinels.
I would have to have something. Sorry, say that one more time.
You cannot shift these over to here, for example.
Yeah.
It
But
has to be adjacent to the
this
sentinels.
could shift to right here.
Yes,
That's
if you occupy those parts already.
You would have to
yes.
occupy it, and that's what
Right.
makes
You
it
can only
different
reinforce.
from the smugglers. Got it. Okay. Yep.
Can
I
you
think I'm all
take
good for my
the-
turn.
Can you take the marriage action if you don't have any influence left?
Only if you can. Only if your
You-
cost is 0.
You
Okay.
can, but you have to marry down.
Classic.
So it is. No one has any bards right now, but if you go for a bard's barony, then that lets you pay for marriages with
All
bard's
right.
favors instead of influence.
I'm gonna expand into there, flip that 4 over to a 3. Did I do that correctly?
Sentinels
if you
can
just-
only reinforce. So you would need to already occupy that in order to use the
You
sentinels
could
to
spend a
reinforce it.
4 and send it to here, but
Wait,
you can
what?
only send it
I think-
someplace that you control.
So
No, no.
are you trying to use
I'm
the
trying to use
sentinel
the-
favor or?
I'm trying to use the expand action.
Yeah,
Oh,
you did
okay.
it right. You don't have to
Just
take
don't
one from
lose
the
the
4
other
though.
Oh, but I can
Yeah, you get
expand
to
there.
keep the 4. Yeah, and then
Yes.
you just add 1.
All right, so that's my expand action. Then I will spend my,
So you gotta
Uh,
spend one of those
influence, right?
suckers
yeah, I'm gonna spend one of these.
Just flip
Flip
it
it.
over.
to expand.
Oh, you have to spend one of those. Yeah, I guess you do. Okay. I'm gonna spend the other one along with my miner's influence and get a gold.
get
Yeah,
to do both, or
we
do we all
do
take
one
turns?
influence at a time.
Ah, yeah.
So you've
Oh.
expanded, and
Okay, I see. Never mind. I'll
Yeah.
I'll wait and not forecast my next move.
I would never get gold. A fool's errand.
Who knows what I'll do next?
That's it then, right?
On to Matt.
Okay. So I'll do the Sasha stole it right out of me. I was gonna do the same thing. I'd like to expand into the what was the action that allowed him to take a pip and move it into the next one? What was that called?
It was from the
Smugglers.
smugglers.
Smuggler.
It had to come
So-
from smugglers.
you would move something on or adjacent to the smugglers to something adjacent to
Right. So
it
I
and the
wanna
smugglers.
drop this down to a 3, and then I can move it here to the bard.
From the smugglers.
Right.
would
So
have
you
to
could
be this
move from there to there, because
Okay.
that's one step, and adjacent to the smugglers.
Actually, the pickaxe looks better early in the game. And now that cost an influence, right?
That would cost the smugglers favor.
That's right. Okay.
If you were
And then
trying
if I
to
flip
use.
the influence, then I get to build a bridge in my county here.
Yes.
Yep,
Okay.
you could
I'm
do it.
going to bump your loyalty down because you use the
did that smugglers,
smugglers
yeah.
to move
Yeah,
the loyalty
thank you.
from the smugglers.
Now you build the county road.
And which ones get connected? All of them, or just these two?
Whichever ones you want.
Whichever ones you
And
want.
yes, it could be all of them if you wanted.
I don't see why I wouldn't want to do all of them.
It would be if you wanted to save that tile for a different county to get different benefits from that other one, but
So I did 2 things. I think that's my turn.
Cool. How come I didn't connect these two?
You didn't have that one yet.
Oh, okay.
If he did it in the other order, could he have? Or
Yes.
Yes.
And yeah,
He could actually do it now because it's free for you. Oh no, we got rid of divorce. Never mind.
I'd say if you want to retcon it, go ahead.
yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
Yeah, I think that's fine.
So, okay. I will. I don't know why I get to, but I will.
It was
I'm
the
into
order in which you did it. You should have.
Yeah,
created
it all
the-
happened on your turn, so we're just saying, say you did it the other way around.
Okay, so I have this Sentinel token, which only is relevant if somebody's attacking me.
it can also reinforce something adjacent to it. So you could move one from sentinels
Okay.
to either these smugglers or to these masons.
Okay, so what if can I smuggle buggle one of these suckers into here,
Absolutely.
and then reinforce it?
The sentinels
yeah,
would
you
need to
could-
reinforce to adjacent. So you would have to spend an influence to use your influence action to reinforce it, but you could do that.
I want to try to use my Sentinel's favor.
So you could move a pip from sentinels into the masons barony with your favor. Make them both 2s.
Seems like a thing I could do. I don't know if it's good, but okay. I'll do that. Boy. And then I will go like this to make this bigger too.
Sounds good. So
Okay.
Evan is out of influence, so he will not be taking another round, turn this round.
Unless he was
I
going
mean,
for
turn
the
the spades.
free, unless he was going for the free marriage, which he's already done, so that's not an option for him.
Hmm.
And you said marriages have to be adjacent unless you use the bard action?
You can marry anywhere on the map. So
Okay.
which color are you? You're
I'm
what's your
purple.
name? You're Matt. So you could do a marriage over here. Like you could have that county with Sasha if you guys agreed.
bard just reduces the cost. Like you can spend the favor as part of the cost, however much it may be.
So wait, you were saying that purple could marry over to here?
You guys could make some sort of agreement that you share that county, and then purple would just throw that over there, and that
Oh,
would be
interesting.
the marriage.
Okay.
You can marry anywhere on the map.
You don't have to be
However,
nearby.
if you're forming counties or duchies or whatever, they have to be linked.
So I
And-
couldn't marry green because green isn't linked into a county yet, right?
Right. You
Well,
can marry
later
green after these counties.
Rub it in.
Couldn't marry as
Green has no holdings.
the
Uh,
action
So
of the
you
marriage
could-
could create a county.
Not going to marry that pauper.
Married county.
Yeah, you could actually marry green to create a county.
That's what I was wondering. Like,
from
could
green
I connect
species.
2 greens with a blue? With a purple,
If
sorry.
if green
Yes.
if green allowed,
So-
then yes.
Okay.
Yes, the blue is a county right now, so you cannot.
Right, but I
Um,
was thinking of the green one. Like, could I do this?
Oh yeah. It,
Yeah, you can
it'd
do
be-
that.
Well, it'd be marriage for it, but yeah.
Yeah.
What benefit would I get from saying yes to that?
So you would control it, and then you could decide if you wanted to form a duchy with it, and he would have no say. And then if there's a pair in that county, now you have a duchy that has a duchy level decree.
But that doesn't oust
You're
my country road, right?
Right. You would still have the county roads. You would still get the benefits of the county, but the owner of the duchy would get the benefits that the county gives the duchy.
So I build the infrastructure and then you can benefit off of it.
So how do we build duchies again?
You need at least 2 counties, and it can be multiple players' counties. You could
Mhm.
do marriages or agree to just let each other form duchies, but it's at least 2 counties are linked together by duchies.
And the advantage of a duchy is what again?
You'll get another
would gain-
influence,
hmm
and you'll have the opportunity to get more decrees if you've stacked up combos of guilds up to there.
And earlier when we were talking about votes for like
For
the flip,
rebellion,
yeah, for rebellion, what is voting? Is it pips? Is it these tokens? Is it the roads?
It
It's
depends on
the-
which level is being contested. So if a county is being contested, for example, if this were not a marriage, blue would have 1 vote versus yellow's 3
Mhm.
if you were trying to overthrow yellow's
So
county.
it's the number of the
We call them vassal fiefs. So
God.
baronies under counties, and then if you're overthrowing a duchy, it's the counties.
I mean, I'm happy with this marriage. I do feel a little bit like overwhelmed here, Evan, but
Got you, baby.
It's a marriage.
yeah.
What do you expect?
Yeah, I'm a lot. I get it.
Okay, let's go. So do I control this area?
No, because you have 1 and he has 3.
Got it.
Also, you only control this barony, so you can do things from this barony. But you will get favors from these baronies since you claim them.
Got it. I'm just trying to decide if I want to the ways that I can use my Sentinel's favor this turn, and I'm looking at I can spend my main action to place out a marker here. I can place out my markers here as well since we're married, or no?
No, you are married
Okay.
at the county level, but these are just his, unless you guys agree to form marriages on them, which costs influence.
yeah, you could form additional marriages in here. You could form barony marriages.
What?
So you have a county
Oh.
marriage. You could
How
do
many times
something
can
like
we be married to the same person?
As many as
It's
you
the Middle
want.
Ages, man. Make a Habsburg.
Whoa. Okay.
If a 1-pip attacks a 1-pip first, it wins, right?
It's not about the number of hits you have. It's every point of influence for assassin knocks it down 1. And you can spend multiple assassins at the same time or whatever. So
Yeah, it's better to think of pips as health bars than attack force.
Okay, I guess I will okay, so this can come back to there. And I guess, I mean, just because I want to use my influence, I don't know if this is a bad move or not. I think I'll do this here and spend this to put this here
totally valid.
just to use my stuff. Yeah, I guess that's my turn.
All right, give me the gold. 1 gold.
Really, I had no idea you wanted
You
to
just
do
flip that over.
Oh, you
We're
flip it
just
over?
gonna,
Okay. Oop. And that's my turn.
the gold took your influence. And the gold actually
Oh,
goes
yeah,
on
so-
the map.
Yep.
So
It goes.
it goes on the miners.
Site
Okay.
style.
Oh, let's go
Or
get
is
it.
And the
Jason
point
So-
is that the
It
point
can be
is that
contested.
right, it can be smuggled by smugglers. It can be, you know,
Whoa.
if someone
Cool.
has a county
Sasha
over
is,
this,
he's
they're
taking
in
note
shared.
right now. He's yes.
I'm a lover, not a smuggler.
Does that mean it's my turn then? Purple?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you explain what options I have with the sailor favor?
Yeah. Let's see. They are going to be useful later if there's water, I think is the deal.
So I don't get
Unfortunately, it's a
the
little
special
landlocked.
action from it
Right.
right now, right?
You got a landlocked sailor, so unfortunately that's not gonna do anything for you right now.
The
But
water,
the deal is that it gives
the
you a
water is
favor.
this?
So if you had this, you could use it there.
but,
Yeah,
so
that's
the
water.
Yes.
the outside
Yep,
of the
that's water.
board is not just auto water.
Right.
Okay. I don't know why I thought that was auto water, but okay.
When it
Delicious.
expands, it might be water.
Right. But it may also not be. Okay. So I
Yes,
can't use
you might have been
that.
thinking
Yeah.
of Catan. I think that's how it works in
Mhm.
Catan.
Something to consider here, though, is if you get a mason's tile, then the favor would allow you to skip over a tile to the water tiles.
Yep. Masons
end up
extend
getting-
range. So
Yeah.
these sailors would be adjacent to this water if you spend 1 mason.
Yeah.
Favor.
That would be great if there were a mason tile near me.
Uh,
I can't just jump over there, right?
No,
I-
but you could
Um,
possibly ask this guy if he wants to do a marriage on those masons and
whoa.
see.
Barony level.
have masons for next phase.
All right, so all I have access to right now is a marriage or an influence, which allows me to expand, attack, or whatever those 3 things were.
Yep.
I guess I'll flip it over to expand. I get to put a 1-pip anywhere, like here on the bard.
Yeah, anywhere
Yeah,
next
it
to
has
what
to
you're
be
touching.
adjacent to something you control, I guess.
And I don't get to build a road yet, right?
Right.
Okay.
Cool. So that's the end of phase 1. We're going on to phase 2. Sasha is going to be the first player this turn. Everyone's going to
Yay.
count up their new bonuses. So, for example, Evan gained gold, gained masons. So we're going to give favors on gold and masons. We're at miners
Miners
and
and
masons.
masons.
You get to do
And
the old ones you had, or only the new ones?
I'm just counting up the stuff that you gained because he didn't lose anything. You keep everything that you had previously unless you lost.
Do we gain like a second favor on the ones that we didn't use?
No.
Okay.
Lost.
Yeah, I think it's just a number of favor based on the number of hexes that you're controlling.
Right. This county also contains 2 sentinels. So Evan and Sasha are going to gain a sentinel's decree at the county level.
Yeah.
And anyone who has a county gains 1 influence to use per turn at the count level.
which is everyone, which is good because
Nope, I think Eric does not.
I do not.
oh yeah, you're right. Yep, true.
So do the green guild tokens come down to the bottom level, or do they go on the count level?
They go on the count level for the decree.
In addition to the ones that came down because of area control?
Yeah, favors come from baronies. Decrees come from superior fiefs, like counties.
I think
you're like making the
there's
connections.
confusion there.
Yeah.
Right now you don't have any decrees, Matt. Decrees would come from having pairs or marriages within your county. So if you had, you see over here in the blue and yellow county, there's a pair of sentinels. That's why they get a decree for that county.
And I get
Say a
a
sentinel. What is a sentinel?
the green.
It's the green
Oh.
barony.
Oh, so in the connected county, you want 2 tiles of the same matching color.
Yes,
Okay, so I don't get anything in the county line then, right?
correct.
But you can probably get those minors and have it for next phase by assimilating it to your county, which is another action. That's
So I only got the 2 new green tokens. That's all I got, right?
you gain the influence.
Where's
Oh
that?
yeah, sorry. Yeah,
Here?
my bad.
Because you made a connection.
Do I reset everything from last round?
Yes.
Yeah,
you do.
everything's refreshed.
You
Also,
keep saying
Sasha.
phase. Is this more like a round or is this like a phase? Phase implies for me the same round.
Yeah, we split it up because you're taking multiple turns in a phase because you take a turn for every influence. So we call those rounds, and then all the rounds until you run out of influence is the phase. But
Couldn't
we're open to
couldn't round after round be referred to as
suggestions.
a year? Like it's next year? You know, that was round 1, which was first year, and now we're in the second year. I don't know. That could be thematic. Anyway.
Yeah, a while
I can
ago we had
open it. Yeah, I
generations
see.
actually because we had children. But it's not relevant anymore. Sasha, you gain favors at 1, 4, 7, 10, and you also gain favors for marriages on baronies. So since you have 2 smugglers, you're only going to have 1 favor.
Oh, I meant to offer to Green.
Well,
to
here's the
connect
third
his,
from the marriage here, but I can't ping.
Green, did you want a marriage? I was gonna offer a proposal. I suppose it's too late, but maybe
Actually,
next round.
yeah. We'll see.
Sorry,
Oh.
say that one more
Kinda
time.
hard to get.
You only gain favor.
Yep. At 1, 4, 7, 10 baronies of the same type. But you also gain an additional 1 for each marriage on that type of barony.
1, 4, 7. I guess I'm 1, 4, 7. I am so I see no one has 2. Got it. Okay. 1, 4. So the fourth of a color that you control gets you a second.
That's right.
Got it. Okay. Now I understand. The 1, 4, 7 that you're talking about is
Please
hexes
share.
controlled,
Hexes of the same color.
Yeah.
not the pip numbers.
Right.
That's where I was confused.
I see.
Okay. Oh, what the heck am I doing? So the bards help with marriage. The other thing that they do is what was the bottom bit?
So if you were to get these sailors during this phase, you can spend your bards to get access to the sailor's favor before the phase resets. Because
Okay,
otherwise you'd have to wait until the next phase.
I see. Okay, got it. It sort of lets you, get it early. Okay. Interesting. Or
Also note that since you have these decrees, these smugglers do not need to be used near these smugglers. You could smuggle purple over here if you wanted. You could smuggle one of your guys from here into here if you wanted. You could smuggle this gold over here or whatever. With the decree, not with the paper.
Got it.
How'd you
Saying-
get
And
that?
these,
It
the
was saying
sentinel,
anything to anywhere, including gold, one space
Yep.
by spending
That's right.
those.
Yeah, anything by one step. And
Yeah.
there is another restriction, which is that you can't clash. You can't like
Put someone
you
in
couldn't
someone
move a
else's
yellow
zone.
into a blue. It has to be allowed to move in there.
Oh. Interesting. Well, let's go. I mean, how thin do I want to spread myself? As
Just
thin
wondering
as
the same thing.
possible.
Yeah.
Is the correct answer.
Yeah.
I just like to be spread thin and get married.
Yeah.
Also remember
Well.
that at the end of this phase, the map is going to expand. So
Mhm.
maybe you want to plan to be in a good position when that.
Oh, I'm going to be in a
Opens
good position.
Spread. Yep.
Okay.
We're going
let's-
there.
So
It's an evening
golly.
Yes.
After dark.
Yes.
Okay, let's go. Yep. Let's spread thin.
Thin to win.
You gotta be thin to win it.
So I can bend this, have this go to here.
Yep.
And then I can unify.
Yep.
And how many does unified just mean county roads?
Yes. If you had counties next to each other, you could unify to make a duchy instead. So it's
Got
just
it.
any superior feat.
So I could do it. I can't do a duchy here because of why?
It's not touching.
Because it's
another
just a
county,
single
right.
county. Also, because you don't control it, because you only have one of the four
Got it.
baronies.
Okay.
But
You
you
so-
could do
it
that
if he
if
gave you
Evan
permission.
gave permission. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll just make a bunch of county roads, right? Is that how that works?
Yeah. So this one you don't get because
It's a
these
marriage.
roads are. Yeah, so you can do that, but technically what you're doing there is breaking down the county you already had and then building a new one.
Okay.
If you wanted this to be a
But this
separate
works fine.
county, if you wanted this to be a totally separate county, you could use this water tile as an in-between to do that, and then it would be a brand new county that's not connected to the other one. But
Interesting.
If you wanted to do what you were doing.
So, and why? What is the reason to have separate counties versus one big county?
To make a duchy, you need 2 different counties.
Right. Also remember that pairs of things matter. So you've got a pair of sentinels here. If you had
I
a second
see.
county that had a pair of sentinels, or I guess a better example is you've got a pair of smugglers here. If you had a second county that had a pair of smugglers and you formed a duchy out of that, then you would get the duchy level smuggler's decree.
I see.
But if you form a duchy that just contains this county and there's no marriage on it and there's no other county within that duchy with 2 smugglers, then you do not get a duchy level smuggler's decree. You just keep what you have.
And so, future unify, I could have a duchy here, or how does that work?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, that would be a separate action. So
It has to be a separate action. Okay, got it. So I think I could save. Okay, so again, the cost reduction on marriages, that is essentially I can make it as if I was 0 on this.
That's right.
Right.
Got it. It doesn't actually move me down, or does it move me down?
No, specifically,
it
it's
just-
you spend
yeah, it
the
just pays the
favor
cost.
in place of however much influence you would be spending.
Okay. So I'm leaving the door open to marriage, guys. So just letting you guys know that door's open.
My door's always
And
open.
I will then pass to the turn, I guess.
All right. I'm gonna use the assassin. I'm going to attack this guy.
Whoa.
Remember that
Gentlemen.
favors always have to be local to the barony. So these assassins can target anything adjacent to them.
Can't you do the influence
What?
action to oust?
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
You
the
could use your
influence.
influence instead to oust from here.
All right, then I will do that. I will oust from there. There you go.
Had to be
Oust.
done.
And
Getting too
so I can use my
Mm-hmm.
sentinel to put it here.
Yes, since you have the Sentinel Decree, Sentinel
Mhm.
Decree allows you to
Yeah.
absorb into any barony.
Yeah, I guess I'll do that.
That
Any
gets rid of
adjacent, yeah.
the county, right?
Oh, nope, the
No,
county
counties
remains.
stay actually.
That actually stays, yeah.
Really?
I know.
Yeah, even if you get rid of all of that.
But what
Loyalty.
it means is if you were to be able to move a pip in there now, you have partial control over that county.
Okay.
Remember how we keep talking about votes? Like if he has 0 pips in that whole county and you have 1 pip in that county, you can just split this county and take it.
And it's so he somehow, like, obviously he can't do this immediately, but if he got 3 votes to here, he could flip this county, or
He could not get 3 votes in there because it's the number of baronies. It's not the amount of loyalty. Loyalty is just
that's right. That's
control
right.
of baronies.
I keep mixing up the pips with the amount of, yeah. Okay.
Okay, is
So
it?
yeah, that's the only thing I could do. All right, I'm only allowed to do 1 action, right? I did my oust and
You
that's
can
it.
do one of the green things at the bottom, right?
Any of the green things that don't require paying
That's
an
my board,
influence.
but his board.
Oh
over here,
yeah, oops, that's over there. So you couldn't do that, but you could do either one of these, assuming that
But you
there's
can't do
something
the
that you could actually,
assassins
yeah,
if there's
go
no one
nothing.
adjacent. Yeah.
So it looks like you have Sentinel as a green option, or you could propose marriage.
Yeah, I
Right.
guess I'll just
You want to get
buff
married
up.
now? Attack me and then get married.
attack him.
So
No,
we're
I'm
gonna
okay for the
reduce
moment.
that because you're shifting
Oh.
from
It's an
Sentinels.
allocation change. there.
Okay, sure. All right.
I mean, there's gold there. It's probably a good move anyway.
Yeah.
Is it my turn? Purple.
Fair set.
Yeah.
All right. So I can do the smuggler because it was fresh again for me, right?
That's right.
And I can also do the influence thing. So the smuggler is only adjacent to the smuggler itself, right?
So you could shift from here to here. You could shift from here to here. You could shift from here to here if you wanted.
Could I shift from here to here?
That is 1 extra range. So if you had a Mason's favor, you could do that.
Okay. That's where the Mason's favor comes in. Well, I guess I'll shift one of these, shift this down to a 3, which puts a 1 in the assassin thing. And then I flip over my smuggler token.
That's
Now I
right.
can take an influence. So I can do an influence to expand here, right? To
Yes.
the minor?
Yep.
Okay. So which of these influences, is that a count influence or a baron influence?
Doesn't matter. They're all equivalent.
They're all equivalent. Okay. So I did 2 things. I think you're up, Evan.
Okay. So my Mason's favor extends my distance for anything. My
Yes.
miner's favor gives me a gold.
Spend
Yeah,
it
at the cost of an
instead.
influence.
I consider. Okay. Okay. I think I understand. And then I have a sentinel who moves the guy. We can add a guy adjacent.
Shift a guy, yes.
Shift a guy adjacent. How do I make a duchy?
Yep, you would need 2 counties that would consent to being a part of it. So you have complete control over this county. And then there's 1 county adjacent that is owned by another player. If you got his consent, you could form the duchy without him having any control over it. I don't know why he would consent to that. Or you could do a marriage with him to form a duchy as a team, just like you did with the county.
Hey, Sasha.
Team Duchy.
Team Duchy.
I'm down for Team Duchy.
All right.
I love marriage.
Okay, how do I do it?
So now you guys decide which counties are going to be a part of it. You could do all 3 if you wanted, or you could just do these 2.
I
or
want
for
to,
some reason.
include this one.
Right. This is part of. That's not part of any counties. So
It
you
cannot
can
be a part
integrate
of
that
this.
into one of your counties that already exists. If you want. That costs an influence.
Oh, I have to incorporate it first.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
I guess you could incorporate it after if everyone consented.
Yeah, I'll let's make a duchy.
Yeah.
Okay, how do we do it?
That's usually what marriage does. It usually
Right.
makes a duchy.
Yep. So you just take your duchy connections and put them between each county that you want to include. And you both have to agree on which ones you want to include. So.
Oh, what have I done? There we go.
So the only question is this one going to be part of it?
And the reason, okay, talking strategy, the reason why I would or wouldn't want to do that.
So yeah, the value to Sasha for including it is that he would have control of the duchy because you'd have
a greater
actually
number.
You already have control.
I have 4 to his 3.
Yeah, you have well, you have 3 counties to his 1 county is the way that control would count for the duchy.
If this was connected up.
Yep. So right now you have 2 to his 1. If you had that, you would have 3 to his 1. The benefit for Evan for adding that is that he get the smuggler's bonuses.
Yeah, he would get
this.
So right
county.
now, Sasha would own the duchy because he has 2 counties.
Right.
Oh,
2 counties that are part of that duchy. Yes.
Oh, well, jeez. That's all right.
Well, so you would also own it. It's
he
just
also
a
has a
matter
duchy because we married for it.
Just
right?
Yeah, you get all the same benefits. It's just that if you wanted to turn the duchy, if you wanted to join the duchy into a kingdom, then Sasha would be in control of that decision. And Evan might be cut out of the deal totally.
I would never cut you out of the deal. This marriage is for life.
I doubt that. I doubt that, but that's fine.
No, I'm not a backstabbing.
Okay, so I did that anyway.
Yeah. So that also is going to cost you each. You each have
I will spend my
1
Bard's
on your marriage count.
favor.
So yep, Sasha can spend his Bard's favor.
That's
Evan, that will cost you an influence, but
Okay.
that's not your influence for the turn.
Okay.
And this is like the one exception to you only spend 1 influence a turn.
Yes.
Right?
Right.
Okay, and I spent 1 because
Because you already have a marriage on board, so your marriage is for superior feats cost the number of marriages that are already on board.
So you spend the number that's under your token.
Yeah.
Yep, under this marriage counter.
Okay, got it.
And then
then that moves up.
Oops, just 1.
Oh yeah.
Okay, I see. And then I want to let's see. Sentinels, I can move one of these guys over, right?
Yep. Your Sentinels decree allows you to reinforce from the Sentinels to anywhere that you own.
Okay, great.
Or the Sentinel's favor is just adjacent.
Were you making a distinction there?
Yes. Favors are localized to the guild. So if you use your Sentinel's favor, you can reinforce either this one or this one. If you use your Sentinel's decree, that's pretty much global. So you could reinforce from these Sentinels to this if you want it.
And the difference between a favor and a decree is?
The favors come from baronies. The decrees come from counties and up. So you have a Sentinel's decree because this county has a pair of Sentinels.
Okay, so there's a line on my board. If the token is below the line, it has to be local to the tile. If it's above the line, it can be anywhere.
Yes.
Got
In
it.
general, yes.
Okay. So many words.
Yeah.
Let's see, the smugglers, the sentinels. What's the difference between sentinels and smugglers?
Sentinels are defensive and allow you to redeploy things that should have been lost. And the other one is smugglers. Was that your question, smugglers?
Didn't I use my sentinels to add one somewhere at one point? Or
Yes. They can absorb and they can redeploy to reinforce. Smugglers are allowed to expand, and they don't absorb losses.
Okay.
You were able to move one because you already had one there, whereas smugglers can move it to somewhere where there's not currently one.
Got it. Yeah. See, I need less flowery words and more description
Sorry.
of pieces on the board and what they can do.
Yeah, I think we've been too deep in the lingo for a while.
Yes.
We're
Yeah.
not clear
the
on what
problem is
needs
our
to be.
early games
Yes,
without
there's
having unique
a
words,
lot of jargon.
we got very lost, but yeah.
Okay. Okay. So I am going to smuggle this guy into
Sorry, one more time.
here.
Favors are local to the guild, so you can smuggle around this particular barony.
Alright, because I don't have that one there. So I'm going to smuggle. What if I spent this thing? Does that do it?
Yes. Let's see. That shifts the range by 1. So
Not quite.
you could go from there towards the smugglers, or you could go from there towards there with the smugglers now. Because it either changes the starting range or the final range,
Okay.
which is
If you really wanted your thing there, you could just spend your turn, your influence, placing one there.
I will spend my influence placing one there.
Nice. Nailed
Okay. Nailed it.
it.
Done.
Okay. I will spend an influence to place one here. Can I do that?
Yep.
Okay. I think I'm doing that. Sure. That's me.
All right. Spend influence.
You made it look so easy.
I'm putting a county right here. There you go.
Would
Done.
you like to include this barony in that
Never.
county?
I don't see now.
Okay. So now we're on that.
What's the question?
It's your turn.
Well, I want to spend an influence to jump into a. Do I want to connect my roads? I think that was the plan. I have to spend an influence to connect the roads. So.
Yeah, if you want to extend this road, yes.
Yeah, I need 2 of the same. Okay.
What's the longest road bonus?
I think it's
We did
three,
use the
3
top
points.
pieces at the start.
Green, did you want to get married? I'm on a knee.
No, I don't. Yeah.
Okay. This is fair.
Well,
I'm just seeing a lot of blue and yellow on the other side
Lone
of the
wolf.
board, and I was wondering if you wanted to get married. Or not.
I want to test to see if you have a player that's just not inclined to cooperate. So I'm
Hmm.
going to say no.
Fair enough. Okay, I like it.
Not a marriage kind of guy.
Now what's my minor let me do? Shift a.
You can spend 1 influence to generate 1 gold on the minor.
That's right. And I can spend the gold later to like an influence, right?
To refresh a favor or decree, or you can hold on to it until the end of the game and it counts as a victory point.
What's like a typical victory point? Like 100 victory points wins the game typically, or 7?
We've seen 30 to 50, but
30
it's
to
not
50.
just gold. It also includes all of your favors and all of your decrees.
Right. Well, 50 is the number. 1 gold. I don't know. It doesn't sound like that much. Obviously, there's a lot of turns. Okay, can I do my
Yeah.
bard thing then? I want to generate a bard thing. Right?
Yeah. Bards reduce the cost of marriages, or since now these minors are part of the county.
Yeah, you could spend that to get the miner's decree, which lets you make gold for free.
Oh, you could
Yeah.
get decree as well.
So how do I do
Right.
that? What do I
Right.
I
flip?
believe that is how it works. Yep. So you would just flip the bard's favor, and you would just get the miner's decree because you already have it on the board. You just haven't had a chance to
Got it.
reset yet.
Got it. Okay. I did some things. You're up, Evan.
Okay, I'm gonna do some things. I like to do things.
I've got the Eye of Osiris too. You see that?
Whoa. OZD. Let's see. So what does the thing do? Mason just extends my range. Which currently doesn't gonna do. Unless I go over there. I'm a gonna. And if I leave my sentinels unused, then I can use them in response to somebody attacking my guy.
That's right.
Right.
Nobody's going to attack you. What are you talking about?
Oh, somebody's gonna attack me. I know you guys too well.
I'm telling you, I'm a lover. I'm here for the marriages.
What does the miner do?
You can spend 1 influence to generate 1 gold on one of your miners, or you could consume 1 gold to refresh a favor or decree.
How do I get a guy here? Can I
You can use your masons to extend your range from these masons, and then spend your influence to put 1 there.
But not
I don't think
smuggling.
that the way the board is set up allows you to do anything else to get there right now.
How come I couldn't smuggle in there?
The problem is that these smugglers can only affect things adjacent to them. And the masons extend the range by 1. So you could start here, but you still have to move adjacent to the smugglers. Or you could start here and move 1 away from the smugglers.
It's also illegal to smuggle miners.
Okay, so I will use my mason.
I think we could smuggle aristocracy trying to escape from the palace life and,
and my
get out and see the world.
Thingy thing here, my influence, to just plop down that sucker, right? And now can I use any of my other tokens right
your
now?
position's a little bit screwed just because Sasha's up in your face, but
right.
Attack them.
Your smuggler and your sentinels, you can use them, but it's really just shifting pips around.
The map's about to grow though.
Yeah. I know. I'm
Right.
ready. I'm ready for that. I'm gonna shift. The smuggler. You can smuggle. I thought I wanted 2 loyalty there, and now I'm like, I don't know about that.
Oh, when I built the count, do I automatically get the influence, or is it to start a next round?
Just at the start of the next phase.
I
Okay.
got it because I did the action to let me immediately kick it in, right?
Can I
Yeah,
use?
the
Right.
bard's
Can I
favor
use my
lets you do
smuggler
that.
to move one of these guys over to here?
Yes. You cannot use the bards to gain influence, though. It's just favors and use.
Mhm.
That's not to you, Evan.
Huh?
He was responding to someone else.
Oh, okay. Okay, I guess that's it.
And just for clarity's sake, the ability to place here was because he's controlling this.
Nope. It's from the barony, and this Mason's barony. That's what the Masons allow you to do, is extend your range for
Got
your
it.
influence abilities from the Masons by 1, or
I see.
extend a different favor or decree by 1.
I see. The Masons barony. So yeah,
So,
okay, got
yeah,
it.
for
It
example,
it extends either ability. I see what that's saying now. I now understand why there's a influence here. It's just saying that it extends either your influence action or your guild token or your favors or whatever.
Yep.
Okay. I mean, I just want to spread myself thin. That's my turn.
Eric has no influence, so we skipped that.
Matt?
Okay, I've got 2 things left. So if I do a minor action, I'll get some gold on the board.
Yep. And the
Yes,
miner's
and
decree is
your-
free.
I still can't do the sailor thing until it expands, so that's pretty much all I got left. So why don't I mine some gold? I flip it over to. Is it the bottom one or the top one that I flip to
The
indicate?
can
bottom
do
one
both.
costs influence, the top one is free.
Okay, so I can only. Well, I've got an influence, right? I got 1 left.
Yep.
Mhm.
So there's a free thing. Okay, and then I can also. I got an
The free
influence
one
to
can
spend
be placed anywhere if you want.
on any of my tiles or only on the minor square.
The
Anywhere on the
decree
whole
can be
map,
placed
you can
anywhere
put the decree.
except for
Minor.
water.
I will put it there.
Right.
You want to put it over here?
You can put it right next. You can put it right next to me.
Sure. Then I've got a thing. What were my main actions? I can attack someone by ousting them. I can put a pip, which is explore, and there was something else.
Marriage?
Yeah, you can add to your own pips. You can add a pip to an empty space next to you. You can knock someone else down by a pip. You can make a
can I knock
county.
this one down by a pip?
Yep, you could do that.
Or
You would
again,
dare.
you could spend that influence to use your minor favor to also make another gold if you wanted to.
Could spend it to make
You
another gold,
wouldn't
another
dare.
victory point. I don't know. I'm gonna try it out. I gotta play with the mechanics that the game presents. So I'm attacking this, or I'm ousting it, or whatever the right term. I flipped an influence.
See
Oh,
how
it's
it
Yeah,
cool.
works.
it's just gone.
Just
Yep.
Does he
remove
get
it
to
from the
recall
board.
it to a sentinel, or not because it's adjacent anywhere?
It's
I
not
have-
adjacent.
It's not
to-
adjacent
But
to
again, I
anything,
have this
so he
thing.
cannot.
Yeah,
Right. That still
he
requires
could
that
have
you
done
have
that.
something adjacent to it.
Okay.
Yeah, he could have done that if he had a Mason
If he had built a
favor to work
road
with.
across this waterway, would that have given him some adjacency?
No, but
No,
you would
but it
still
would have
own
meant
that county.
Okay.
Okay.
I think I found an isolated pond.
So that just gets removed.
Alright. I've got a miner left and a sailor left. Can I do them as well? I can only do one influence per turn, but I can do as many of the other ones, right?
Yeah, so
Right.
the only option available to you now is if you wanted to spend the minor to consume your gold, then you could refresh one of your other favors
So
or decrees.
I could spend the gold that I have on the board right now to refresh the minor,
Get-
but then I would
Yep.
have gained nothing.
Yeah, you could
But
move the
then I
gold
could
to
just
somewhere else.
yeah, it's an infinite loop I have right now, right? I can spend it to gain it back, to spend it to gain it back, and
Well, no, this
Well,
would be
yeah, you
this would
only
be expent.
oh, I
You wouldn't
suppose
you wouldn't be refreshing that one.
I can't, but I'd be refreshing the one above, right? I wouldn't spend
Yeah,
it to
but then
refresh.
this one would be exhausted.
Oh, I see. Okay.
There's no
I don't think
infinite
there's
loop.
anything else I can do then, so I'll be good with it.
All right.
That's the end
What
of the
time
the
do
end
you
of
guys
the
usually
phase.
go to?
I would say we have another. We could play for up to another hour if you wanted to.
That's what I thought. So let's. Do you think we should end after phase 3, Neil, or do you think we might get to 4?
It probably doesn't matter if we say let's plan on. Let's pick a time, and if we haven't finished phase 3 by then we can quit at the end of phase 3. How about that? Like maybe if it takes us more than half an hour from now to finish phase 3, then we don't want to go to phase 4.
Cool. So now this moves to Eric, right? Or,
I already rotated it. Yeah.
So Eric will be first. We're going to expand the map, and everyone needs to
Ooh.
refresh and count up their bonuses. So Sasha and Evan gain the Duke influence, in addition to
Yep.
Duchy level sentinels. Since this is a pair in a county that is married,
Duchy level sentinels.
so the sentinels decree at the Duchy level.
I see.
And additionally, Evan gains whatever favors from these he didn't have. Oh, not these two. Sorry, those are not part of the duchy.
Oh, okay.
So since Sasha has these sailors which are within the duchy, yeah, and then
And the bar.
Then you also get
bars.
it. Yep.
That's right.
Okay.
And
Purple
I
doesn't get
do
anything,
get it for having this, even though it's not part of a county.
Yes,
Okay.
you get the favor for it. Yes.
Yeah.
What else we have going on?
And can you double check purple? I don't think I gained anything.
Yeah, I got you.
You got a assassin's favor.
Oh,
That's right. The main thing you gained was the
Mhm.
miner's decree, which
Mhm.
you got early access to. And yep, I was looking at you. You only have the count influence for the count because there are no pairs. So I think everyone's looking good. So whenever you're ready, Eric, feel free to start the phase.
You're muted, Eric, also.
Yeah, we can't hear you.
Sorry.
For spinning an influence.
Yeah, I'm gonna spend an influence. That's getting ousted. Yeah, I can't assassin, right? So that's yeah.
So if you were to invite someone to make a barony marriage on your assassin, then
Yeah.
you would actually gain a assassin's decree for that. You wouldn't get it till the next phase, but assassin's decrees are like long range missiles. You can hit anyone for 1 pip anywhere.
I mean, I
Okay.
love the strategy you're going for. I'm curious to see how it plays out, but my hand of marriage is still out there. Just saying.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I mean, I made so many mistakes in the initial setup that I'm just going for chaos. I don't know. It's
So if
Wow.
you want to playing the no marriages approach, that's totally your prerogative. Part of the value of the marriage mechanic is it's sort of a catch-up mechanic where you are a more attractive partner to others because right now you're less of a threat.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking. I help you over there in the eastern block.
I
Or
still don't.
or we
Yeah,
could be married.
I still don't understand why we're getting married across distances or what even that.
I sent an envoy and it
Yeah,
made an
You
offer you
marry
can't
on a
refuse.
particular fief. So
yeah.
on this tile or on this tile or on this road, or you could marry on any of his same things.
Hey, was I supposed to get a Mason's decree?
No, because you do have a pair of Masons, but one Mason is in one county and the other Mason is in the other county. So it's always pairs within the fief, and then you move up a fief, and if there's a pair,
But there's a
that
pair
fief, you get
within the duchy,
something.
right?
Right, but there is not a pair within the county. It's always from bottom up.
So yeah, like this is fulfilled, but this can't be filled until this is filled.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like this is valid, but since there isn't something underneath it, it's not actually valid.
Not quite. So it's what
sorry.
it is the county wants a pair of Masons, and then a duchy wants a pair of counties that have a pair of Masons.
So I guess I'm confused at how we have the second level here then.
This one's this county has a marriage, so it counts twice.
Yeah, this is
And the
this
county
is
has two sets.
Oh,
there's two ways of getting any decree, either
it
with a
counts
pair or
twice
with a
because
marriage.
there's a marriage.
Right.
Because I have a pair and Evan has a pair.
That's
And
right.
so to further be clear, with these two counties that only have one Mason, if you got a barony marriage in both of those would each count twice, and then you would have the duchy.
Got it.
Yeah.
And actually, if you just had a barony marriage in this one, it would count twice into this county. That counts twice, so that would also be the duchy.
I hope you guys get it, because
I sort of get it.
a while
It
ago.
does it is a little bit complex, but yeah, I think I get it
Lots
now.
of counties and duchies. I heard those words.
Yeah. Our
That's
biggest
right.
challenge has always been communication.
Our experience is everybody's first game is just hacking through the forest, and then the second one you kind of know what you plan to do and you go for it. But
Okay, so whose turn is it?
I think he was deciding if he wanted to get married or not.
Oh
No. I'm gonna reject marriage proposals.
Okay.
Matt's really trying to push the marriage.
I said bend the knee.
Okay, so it's my turn then, I think. Yeah, okay. So I'd like to spend an influence to get a pip in this bard area, because then 2 is good. So now I have a 2 and a 2. What do I have to do to get them connected to be a duke, or am I looking at that wrong?
Yep. So you would have to form a county here, and then you would also have to form a duchy between them.
So 2
So
separate
that's
actions,
one
right?
influence each.
I have
Yeah,
2
2 separate
influences
actions.
left, so I could potentially do it. Okay. And
Yep,
then
by the end of this phase, yes.
now
Hold
forgive
on,
me for
you can
asking.
do that twice because it says 1 per turn on the taking.
Yeah.
Right.
During the phase, you could do that, not during the turn.
Okay.
Yeah, it would
Now
take 2 turns to do.
If I spend the bard token, I get to evaluate. I guess they're not connected by a road yet. I guess I'll do the minor. Which one was free? This one was free. So that gives me a gold anywhere. And then
He's got a big stash.
oh, that's right. It's got the other side.
Coming for it.
Yeah. Okay, so I flipped the free one, but the ones on the bottom row, don't those cost an influence to use, right?
The miners and the sailors.
Only the miner and sailor. Okay, so this is the first time I've had access to the sailor thing. I already spent my influence, so I can't do it this round. But now that I'm adjacent to water, what's my option with the sailor?
You could use the sailors to expand to anything adjacent to this water. Which just happens to also be adjacent
What
to
they're
the
also
same
okay.
sailors.
So it didn't really help in the end. And
However,
Plus side,
assassin-
sailors
yeah.
are always free to use. They don't mind.
when you have influence on or loyalty on either of these, your sailors are free to shift loyalty between this and one of those.
Right. So there's the smuggler thing was free, right? That I could do that. So I
Yes.
can
Yep.
I can allocate, but it's only on a smuggler tile. So basically I could like shift one from here over to here, right? I guess I could
Yeah,
go to
you
the
could-
masons.
It's also adjacent. So you could
Yeah.
shift one from here to here if you wanted.
Or you
Oh,
could
okay.
move the gold around.
So I'm flipping the smuggler, which is a free thing. And I guess I'll take this down to a 2. And that pushes a pip in this direction. Alright, that'll be my turn. Over to you, Ivan.
Okay. I will.
You're on mute if you're saying something.
I'm on mute.
Oh,
Oh,
I
it's
didn't
just-
hear anything,
Oh,
so I just assumed.
or am I just too quiet? Okay.
More marriage, more marriage.
I will add what of my favors or decrees lets me add a pip to this.
You could use your Sentinel decree to do that, because you can transfer something from your Sentinel barony to anything else you have. So you could hop over that, Mason. I think that's the only way for you to do it now.
Okay. What if I?
You could also just spend influence,
Right.
but I think you asked about guild actions.
What if I? Yeah. It seems like most of the guild actions basically just move pips around. Does that sound right?
Yeah, in various different ways. Although bards are different, miners are different,
Okay.
masons are different, assassins are different. So I guess it's mostly just sailors, smugglers, sentinels.
Okay. So if I want to get something here, I could just use my action to do that, and none of my decrees really mess with that.
Right. Sentinels are not good for expanding into new territory,
Okay.
but you're kind of specialized in sentinels right now.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a long shot way of doing it, which is if you had a smuggler's decree, then you could move that around. The only way you're going to get a smuggler's decree this phase, though, is if you got a marriage on your smuggler barony and then spent your bard's favor to get early access to that.
I'll just use my action to plop a dude down. Right?
That'll do.
Um, hmm. I mean, I wasn't intending to steal gold, but the fact that I
Oh.
see it here,
I mean,
Too tempting.
so I can go like this and then go like this.
Yes, you can.
It's only one victory point.
Worth it.
Is that your turn?
I haven't done a turn yet.
Oh,
Those are his free actions.
Uh,
Because he's got
We
so
haven't
many of
seen
them.
sailors yet, but sailors can move loyalty and gold between your sailors and something else for free. So you could now use the sailor's favor to take the gold into these sailors if you want.
Got it.
Or you could shift your loyalty between the sailors, something adjacent to life.
Yeah, I guess the sailor will take it.
I was doing research for my game, and I was just reading recently that sailors consider albatrosses that follow their boats as a good luck omen. But however, there's a poem from 1798 in which it talks about a particular ship in which an albatross is following them, and he gets tired of it and he shoots it down, and then it's a bad luck omen. So if you Google pop culture, the albatross is either a good omen or a bad omen, or it's embodiment of a flip-flop omen where it can be good, or it can start as good and then it can later become a bad one.
If you shoot it.
Yeah.
So the
there.
real lesson is don't shoot at an albatross.
Yeah,
now my turn's
why would
over.
you? They've got an 11-foot wingspan. That's pretty awesome.
I knew that from a little game called Wingspan.
All right, I'm gonna oust that guy.
Oh,
Ousted.
those are the Badlands down there. Oof. Rough and tumble.
Done.
You don't want to mine some gold for free?
No, I mean there's no point. Yeah,
Do you want to reallocate a pip? And there's nothing near your assassin. Yeah, I'm not seeing many other options for you either.
yeah.
Okay. So I'm gonna flip an influence to build a road. And now that I have connected these two bard things, I can flip my bard token to get a bard token, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Read what the Bard Decree does, though. So it only affects your marriages. So,
It only
like, if
affects
you
my marriage.
have a marriage somewhere, you can reinforce it using that token.
So what does the flipping of the bard do? It lets me
If you
Yeah,
had a
flipping
marriage.
refresh
flipping the
right?
bard favor would allow you to access this, but this bard's decree
Okay.
is only useful to you if you have a marriage.
Okay, so
Right,
if I
sorry.
don't flip that, flipping this bard token would let me unflip this minor free one, right?
No.
Not quite.
The Bard token gives you access to something that you have on the board, but do not yet have on your player board.
Okay.
You could consume gold and use your miner's favor to refresh this if you wanted.
Okay, but when it's my turn again, if I do the thing that connects the two counties to become a duke, then I could flip the bard token, which would give me access to the duke level thing, right?
Yeah, if you
duchy
had
has
built
a
up
pair.
any,
But your duchy would have one county that is a pair of bards and one county that is a pair of miners, but it would not have a pair of counties that have a pair of something.
Yeah, like if there was a marriage happening over there, then that would happen. But since there's no marriage, then you don't get the double up. Like
Yep, so
our double
Sasha's
up.
exactly right. If you ask someone to form a marriage on this county or this county, then you would get whatever that is as the duchy level decree.
Okay.
So it would count as a pair.
Well,
I mean,
yeah.
my marriage proposals are always open.
Well, I've used my influence, and I don't see any of the other free actions that really benefit me right now, so I'll pass.
It's to me?
Yep.
So when I make a county, can I make any number of counties or just add one?
It's just one county, but it can be any number of roads as long as they're adjacent to each other.
Okay. Let's see. I'm gonna use the Masons. Flip-a-doo. To smuggle. Flip-a-doo. This guy. Oh. I can't. Oh, because I'm clicking the wrong button. That guy into here. Yeah?
Yep, that's
Yep.
solid.
And did I need to spend an influence to do that?
Nope.
Nope. Smugglers
Yeah.
are just the favorite.
And what's my bard do?
Now that you have those assassins, you could spend your bard to gain an assassin's favor before the phase reset.
Or you
favors can
could,
only be
Oh.
used locally.
yes, yeah, that assassin is only going to help you if someone else
Okay. And then what was the other
walks
thing
right
you
up
can
to
do?
it. You can gain access to something. Sorry, no. It can decrease the cost of marriages. So you could make a barony marriage for free, or you could make a
Okay.
superior fief marriage for one less cost.
Okay. I'm going to use my influence to add a pick. Yeah. Damn.
So just I think I missed this. When this died, could I have used my guild token here to
Oh,
move
yeah.
it to here?
I'm sorry, I should have
Yes.
pointed that out to you, but I didn't. think about
Is it all right if I do that? Like,
Go ahead.
because yeah, otherwise these aren't being used for anything.
Yep, it's easy to forget them.
Something I noticed earlier in the phase, but I didn't want to interrupt other people's like train of thought. When you move the gold down here, by the way, just for your understanding of how the victory points and stuff works, you have this gold now, but because it's also part of a duchy that Evan has.
Oh, it gives it
played
to Evan
through.
as well.
Yeah, he's
So
also.
that's why I would want to keep it here rather than there
Right, yeah.
potentially.
I see how this marriage works.
Yeah.
I mean, I can always move it later if that this will be something that
Bringing home
like
the bacon.
if there's some sort of agreement we can make in the future, there's this gold that I'm
Some
willing
sort of agreement.
to add to our.
It's called a post-nuptial agreement.
Exactly.
Okay. So I think I will just spend an influence to go here. I think. And is that the end of my turn? I think it is. Yep.
All right. I will spend an influence to go there. And this drops to 3, right?
Nope. Influence
Get it.
just generates a new bit.
Oh,
So
You pay
Okay,
for it
there
with
you
the
go.
more expensive action currency. Yeah.
okay. And I'm done.
Okay. Is there any reason I would want to connect my two counties?
into a duchy,
Yeah.
Aside from
Yes.
just getting the
you will
duchy
gain
tier
one influence.
Well,
And
then
if
let's
you
do
form
it.
a marriage on either of these, you will also get a duchy
Okay,
level
so I'm
decree
gonna
for
flip my last
So-
influence token.
So before you do that,
Yeah.
this is a little bit of metagaming, but we're probably not going to phase 4, which means that influence that you would get from this, you're not actually going to spend.
Whatever. I just want to see it.
Yep.
I'm making a question mark. Okay. So, and I use the upgraded road, right? I use the duchy road to do that, right?
Yes.
Another
And-
piece of this is if you and like Eric, for example, wanted to, you could just offer to have Eric marry on that duchy and it would be free instead of cost 1 influence for you. But Eric would get the whole duchy too.
Okay.
Like he doesn't have to own anything within it for it to be valid for him to marry on it.
Right. Now, do I get access to any new things because I'm a duchy now? And then, therefore, I would
No,
want to use
because
my
you do
bard
not have a
refresh?
pair that is a pair.
Okay, I don't have the right pair. And this minor thing costs an influence, so I can't use it, right?
That's right.
Okay, so I don't see any of the other little bonus actions I can do, so that's my turn.
Okay.
Evan, you've got 2 more to go.
What gets me points? Just gold.
Gold
Favors,
favors
decrees, and gold.
Okay.
So if you could, let's see,
Can I
you've
join
got-
these and make it gold?
yep, that's worthwhile.
Oh, this guy makes a gold too, huh?
Yeah, so
When
if you
did you
join
guys,
those, then
oh,
you could
sorry.
spend your Bard's token on that. You could get the Miner's Decree
Okay,
this phase.
I'm gonna join that county. And that does something immediately? Or no?
Nothing immediately, but if you spend your Bard favor to get early access to one of the things you just picked up.
Do it.
Yeah.
Okay, what did I just pick up?
So you're gonna flip that,
Okay.
and then you're gonna gain this.
Okay,
You
great.
gain that because it's already on the board,
Which
but
is
you
worth
haven't had the
a
chance to
gold. Wherever you want.
And then I
right?
can flip that.
Yep.
Yep. I flip it.
And that puts a gold anywhere you want. Yeah.
On the map.
Right.
How about
And I guess also
Right here.
specifically not on a water tile, but you know.
over here?
I'll move this gold onto here if you put that gold here.
I see how it is.
My turn?
I
Was
think
that your
so.
influence? Did you spend it, influence?
No. Yes, I did. Because I made a. Oh,
Oh, that's right.
I made a county.
Hmm. So this is a county that I control this county, correct?
Yes.
And the way that I could not control the county is if Eric connected something here or something.
If he
Eric. Sorry, go ahead.
knocked your loyalty out of here, then he could rebel and flip
Okay.
this.
Because
And
it's your county, he can't add on to it.
Can I have a duchy off of this county?
You'll need a second county to connect it to, but
Yeah,
yes, you could do
if
that.
this was a county, could
Yeah, you
I
could do that.
duchy to here?
Yes, you can duchy through water, one tile, yep.
Okay. I will spend one and I will countify here.
All right, are you done?
Yeah.
No.
All right, I will go ahead and spend my sentinel. I'll make that a 2.
So
And
you don't, okay. So
Yeah,
you
go
don't
ahead.
have any influence, right? Or do you?
No, I don't.
Right. The way the rules are written, when you're out of influence, you're out of actions. I don't know.
Oh,
That's something that might be up in you, but that's the way the rules are written.
oh, well, then I would have done it on my last turn then, I guess, because it's a free
Yeah,
action,
no
right?
problem. Yep.
Okay. That it?
Anything else?
We can't.
I'm done.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm out of influence.
Oh,
Back
you are?
to Evan.
Okay. So for me.
Back to one more turn for Evan, one more turn for Sasha.
So I still have a miner's token, which takes my influence to make a gold. Is that right?
Yep.
What's the one below that? The C minus.
That allows you to cash in gold. So the minus means you're losing one gold, and it allows you to refresh one of your other favors or decrees.
Okay. So I'll just
Mostly favors.
and making another county here doesn't really do much currently, right? So I'll just use my fancy pantsy. It would make it there. Like it'd have to be within the
Yep.
county, right?
Yep. For favors, it has to be local.
Or on any one of your minor tiles, but yeah.
Within the county.
Well, it could be on this one as well. This single
Huh.
miner's barony that you have.
Interesting. Okay.
So something that I meant to ask earlier is, do I still have this? This got lost in this phase.
Yeah, you do have the favor, but you can't. You have nowhere to spend it right now.
Yeah, but would this go away at the beginning of the next phase?
Yes.
Okay, got it.
Yes.
I was not that I was planning on using it or anything, just for clarity on how the rules work.
And actually, the next phase is counting up victory points,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
that will
So
go
it
away
doesn't
when
even
you.
matter. Oh, so it would matter for victory points.
Yes.
Okay, so there is relevance. Okay. Well, I think I am going to form this duchy all according to plan. So is this duchy in the water?
Yes.
Okay. And then
You just bridge the. Yeah, exactly.
put with a road, or is it double duchy?
Yeah, you just use another duchy piece.
Ooh, double Dutch.
Double Dutch.
Nice.
I was trying to see if there was a way for you to cheat out one more action, because you could almost make a kingdom there, but
Yeah.
That's the wrong button.
But I do get to use my bard. Oh wait, because that's not a.
Right. You don't have a pair.
Yeah, because
Although
unless I
he
want to,
still has a bard token, so you could.
I could
Actually, your
marry.
marriages are too expensive.
Yeah,
What-
my marriages are too
barony
expensive for me.
Why did I lose the
However,
influence there?
You could both do a barony marriage of some sort, and you would both gain one favor of whatever you do the barony marriage on. And that would be one victory point for each of you.
Mm-hmm.
Why did I lose an influence?
Who was asking?
You might not have lost one. Things got flung around a moment ago. It might have
Oh,
just-
okay.
Yeah, I pressed R when I meant to press E.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So now that, yeah, dang, I was hoping to get that. In lieu of that, is there anything that I can do here?
Oh, well,
What?
so if you, I don't know if you could make that, but something you are 1 point away from. You have 1, 2, 3 smuggler tiles,
Mm-hmm.
and the fourth one you pick up would be a second favor.
Yeah.
Which is also a victory point.
Yeah,
That's
but
also an option. Oh, but you
I
don't have the. I see. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just cover your favor. Sure. Yeah.
I don't think I have any other moves that benefit me. The minor is going away, doesn't do anything. This lets me do a +1 away, +1 away sailor. What does that look like?
So this sailor is adjacent to this water,
Uh-huh.
and the water is adjacent to these. You can use the mason to extend the adjacency. So this would become adjacent to this water.
Can I steal
or
this
water.
move this gold onto here? Or wait, no, I don't have a water thing over here. I have a water thing over here. And this.
So steal my gold?
You would still get the point for it. I would just also get the point for it.
Although I think the favor will always cost an influence, though, right? For the sailors, am I wrong?
Oh, if you're stealing from other people, yes. If
Okay,
you're moving within your own stuff, it's free.
got it. And that's shown by the colored circle versus the gray circle. Or wait, no, the gold. Okay, I guess
Yeah,
the
shown
iconography is
by-
not clear there.
Yeah, it's meant to say that if you own the thing that you're moving it back and forth with, or if you have influence there, then it doesn't cost influence. But if you have loyalty there, it doesn't cost influence.
Yeah,
But if you
I
don't have loyalty
I
there,
don't think
it
there's
does.
any other ways to use my tokens for value at this point. So
One more time. Chris pointed out that you have 3 smugglers currently, and if you got a 4th one, that would be 1 additional victory point.
Oh,
And you
do
said that
my
you don't have
members
any
gain that?
influence, so you can't do that. But you have a bard's token, and Matt has a bard's token, and Matt has a smuggler.
Oh,
So if you
I
were to
could
marry
marry
on that barony,
Yeah,
Matt
but
would get
like,
1 victory point.
but I could offer it to Matt, but I wasn't expecting Matt to accept. But Matt, do you want to get married last minute?
Well, I would consider you more or less in the lead, so I'm not sure why I would give you a victory point, so I'll pass.
Mhm. Like
That's fair.
it
For
doesn't
rome's
change
sake.
your standing at all, but yeah, it would help my standing versus the other players.
Right.
Yeah. So
I think it would give you both 2 victory points.
yeah, which wouldn't help Matt beat me, but it would help me hold a bigger lead over other players if
Right.
if I am in fact in the
If
lead.
we're grokking it right, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think I have anything if there's no marriage.
Okay.
And wait, I can't marry, right? Because I don't
You
have enough.
cannot do superior beef marriages because your marriage is too expensive. But baronies are always one.
Baronies are always one.
You don't want to marry me. I'm barren.
It's a barren barony.
Yeah, that last bit is confusing to me, but I mean we can go to scoring.
Yeah.
So
The
we're all just
barony
going to
would
count
be
up our
one.
bonuses one last time.
Okay.
So I lose this. So this goes away, right? My minor.
Yep.
All right.
All right.
So somebody
Evan has gained assassins.
did I? Sweet. Because I just have a guy on it.
Yeah.
Okay. Did I gain anything else?
Gain a level 2 bard, I do, right?
Who was asking? Was that Matt?
Yeah, purple.
Yes, you do gain county level bard degree.
Oh,
But that's all I gained this turn, I think.
I think
I have no idea if I get in.
Yes.
I don't know.
Evan probably beat me. I guess. Yeah.
Eric gained smuggler. She marked. So that's good. Yep.
So Matt might have had a like sort of king making situation where.
Right. He could have
Interesting.
made you beat me.
Yeah,
So how do
Were
we
you within 2?
I think so.
how do we score it
So
up?
if you've all counted up your favors and decrees, now you want to count up how much gold you claim.
I
So
haven't.
that can be anything where you have loyalty next to the gold, or if the gold is inside a county or duchy that you are part of.
And those are worth
To
1
be-
point also?
Yep,
Yes,
1
one
point
each.
per gold.
Okay.
So what we do
He said next
sometimes
to,
is
but Eric is next to this gold, and Eric doesn't claim that gold because it's on a different barony. Doesn't own the county or duchy or anything above it.
And sorry, were we counting up influence plus the favor tokens or just the
Just favors and decrees and
favor
gold.
and decree?
Yep,
Okay,
no
got it.
Influence doesn't come into play.
I think we might use it as a tiebreaker, but
Got it.
probably won't make a difference.
So yeah, the 2 points that I would have gotten from Matt were from
Opposed marriage?
that and
It would have been from that actually, because you would have gotten 2 there.
second one of
Because you
that.
would have gone up to 4, which gives you the second one,
I
right?
see.
and then the marriage gives you an additional 1 regardless of your count.
Got it.
And he would have gained 1 favor for the marriage, but also you would have been upgrading his county, so he would be getting an additional for the decree.
So wait, my 2 points were 1 from that, and what would the other one have been?
From that as well. The first
Yeah,
from
you
that
would have
is
you would have gotten 2 favors, 2 new favors. 1 because you get a favor for each barony marriage, and a second because you would have hit the threshold of 4 baronies of that type. Because you've got 3 smugglers baronies already, so if you got 1 more, you'd hit the 4.
Yeah, I get that for I'm getting this, but that is 1 point. What was what was the other point from? I guess
We
I
don't
confused.
have any barony marriages on the map, but every barony marriage is worth another favor of that type.
Going where does that go?
If
Oh, so
so,
then
if
I
you
have
had a
3
guy
here.
right here, yeah, you get
I would
3
have
total.
3 total here. Got it. Got it. That's what I was missing. Would that have also this marriage? Would I have placed my county roads here,
It would have been a
You would
barony
just
level
be
marriage that we were
or
talking about.
just the bear? Okay, got it.
But if that were there, that would upgrade. This is a pair of smugglers now in Matt's county, so Matt would get smugglers to free, but he
Got
would
it.
also get an additional smuggler's favor because each marriage is one additional favor.
Got it.
so you both get 2 more.
I see. Oh, that did not happen. So let me.
I see Evan has a final count. It looks like.
Did I do
Yeah.
it right?
Does everyone else
Yep.
have their number?
Evans looks right to me.
Yeah.
Sasha got 9.
Yeah, I think I got 9, and Matt also got 9.
I
Okay,
wasn't
counted the
playing
same.
for round 3. If I was playing for the end game, but if I was playing, I could have gotten 2 more gold.
Would have, could have.
So I think I got 9.
Eric 4, no marriage.
Did I count right?
Yeah, I think you
Yep.
got it right.
I see 9 also.
I was going to say earlier, I think John's estimation of like the 30 or so points we used to see, we counted scores differently then. I'm expecting like 15 to 25 average.
If with
new
a full
system.
game.
Well, then the gold sounds more lucrative at that range.
Yeah.
Sorry, it used to be you would accrue them at 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. We had to nerf that to 1, 4, 7, 10.
All right.
All right.
So-
So based on that, Evan came out ahead. So I think we're all dying to hear what you thought.
What you get, everybody. Yeah, let's move into feedback. Who wants to go first? Before we start, do you guys want us to focus on anything, or should we just give feedback and then you'll ask us specific stuff after? How do you like to do it?
Just give us your general stuff, and if we have specifics, then we'll dig into it
Okay.
afterward.
Cool. All right. Who wants to go first?
Maybe I can. I'm on the East Coast.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Unless someone else is on the East Coast.
No, go for it.
Well, the teach was on the complicated side. When we get, like with most any game, when we get into it, it's usually not that bad. There's, some complexity. It did help that we're playing with the designers, so that lowered the tax for me quite a bit. Could rely on you guys whenever I had a question. I liked the area control with the kind of clustered army, and then we can kind of risk spreading ourselves out thinner and thinner, and there's a slow build. I kind of would have liked the edges of the board to have been connected, but you said it's not like Catan in that regard. So with the beginning placement of the game is ever so important, unless I'm missing a way to geolocate. Because if you box yourself in on turn 1, I'm not sure if you'd be able to easily recover it. But that's just a cursory knowledge of the game on one playtest. I liked that the tokens flipped and that we were slow building actions, but to be able to buy or to gain an influence from actions in the game, and then to leverage that on the following turn to get more stuff, to get more actions eventually as I go up. Well, I liked the progression. I didn't like that I got more actions. I kind of felt that the actions should be static, that all the players should get the same number of actions or turns or sessions, or what do you call it? Phases. Or no, those were the rounds. You were calling them rounds. But it seemed like the rich got richer, and those who had better economies just got better and better economies. I was kind of left alone a bit over on my side of the board, so kind of played a solitary game over here. But I was waiting for someone to come over, but it didn't happen. And then I was thinking initially wrongly that my ships would allow me to kind of relocate to some other locations, because like that ship placement on turn 1, not having understood the game very well, I never used it once. It was a victory point technically, but it never ended up doing anything for me because of the gamble of the way that the board lays out. I should have known better placing it, I suppose, but so it kind of felt on turn one like a dead space. Now having known that, and going back in my mind back at the time, I wouldn't have gone there, and it would have felt like a like the desert space in Catan. That why would you even be adjacent to it? It's not very optimal. Let me see my other notes here. Yeah, you already guys mentioned it. All the terminology. If you can somehow just maybe during the teach, I like the theme, so I like it when it is very thematic. But maybe during the teach, like just say things simpler for me to understand on a first play. Like it's a circle with white dots on it. Well, maybe we call them pips. And when you do this action, you get more of those. Like then lead me into the terminology that it's called this and that, and it made it harder to understand on first hearing, and then later I was like, oh, okay, that wasn't so bad. And a couple times Sasha explained a couple of them. It's like, oh, okay, because you guys explained it and you guys are very much into it, and all the lingo makes sense for you. And then when Sasha explained it immediately following it, I don't know, it clicked a little bit quicker on some occasions. Um, we didn't get too much into scoring. I really wish the marriages were. I know they're optional, and I know you can choose them or not, and that's probably thematic too. I mean, who forces a marriage? But I wonder if there's a way that you can force them in an appropriate way. Like you have to move you have to do a marriage at some point. That makes the game interesting. So I regret from a fun standpoint not ever having gotten married, because that was a whole part of the game I didn't get to experience. And turn by turn, the players could lock me out of it. If 3 players decide they never want to marry with me, that's a quarter of your game I can never play, unless I'm misunderstanding it. I'd like there to be some way. I know you've incentivized it through the victory points and the shared mutual benefit, but I wish there was a way that was forced, that if someone, maybe you just really incentivize it. If I don't get married, I get an extra influence or something. That doesn't sound right, but the comment is I wish that I couldn't play the game without getting married. I wish that I somehow had to, from a rule or a mechanic or a super incentivized play, because that's where I think the game is really fun and unique. To see the paths just reminds me of Catan, but to see dual color paths and to get mutual benefit, and on top of that to affect the area control, that's many layers deep, and I've never seen a game quite like that. So I think that's your thematic strength here with your mechanic hook that I would really like to see come through more and shine. I'll just say graphically the board was too busy for me. It's hard to see where everything is. Could you lower the opacity of the tiles on the baseboard by like 50%? You'd still tell it's a axe, and you'd still be able to tell it's water. But man, it would make every element laying on top of it just pop a bit more. So just a thought for that. And when you're playing this in physical form, you can't just hit a button in TTS and have the next layer pop in. Is that time consuming, or is that a procedural, or is that in a bag? How do we go about that in the physical side?
It'll probably be in a bag. Our physical prototype actually hasn't been used yet.
Okay.
And is kind of outdated.
Because I'm just thinking that through at a table, the game is gonna pause for 5 minutes while we go into where's that box again? Because we got our soda out, and we're into this, and we're so many sessions, rounds, whatever you were calling it, into the game, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, now the rule book tells me, okay, where's the box? And then I'm getting them out, and it says to randomize them, and then we got to pull them out, and I don't know. It just sounds like a 5-minute break from the game to do the setup. Was there some? Did you like the slow build of the exploration phase? Was that fixing something, or was that thematic? What was the intent there?
I think it's kind of exciting to see the map expand in the middle of the game, but also it was kind of fixing. We had a lot of struggles getting people to interact with the marriage system at all, and we like in earlier revisions of the game, people would just be building up their own beefs in their own corners, and not interacting at all.
Yeah, I think that's the main thing is that if the map starts at its full size, then everyone is as isolated as you felt because you can just build your own structure and ignore everyone else.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, I'm just wondering if there could be, and this is a little spitballing here, so don't take the words literally, just take the thought behind it. If there could be some player choice in like there are two tiles drawn and I get to choose one of them and then I get to choose where on the outside of the board it goes.
We
Or
actually
yeah,
we
you've tried
considered
that?
exactly that temporarily and moved
Okay.
away. So maybe we'll reconsider.
Okay.
Yeah.
It just it makes it more interesting for me than the ominous the board is just instantly explored and that's input randomness and now I have to deal with it rather than the input randomness is a choice and then I get the output choice of well where does it go and now there's interesting decisions so like oh I'm not going to put that near you because then it gives you two of those and yeah and maybe the placement like you can't put something down until it's linked with a marriage or something. Like if you can link it with something, then you can get the players to get marriage because they're going to want the other thing and it's going to be, something that they have to do. So I would say if you're struggling to get the players to do something, link it to something that they would have to do or want to do anyway. And once they're linked, then the players are going to naturally gravitate to both anyway. Um, because how many lines can connect in a county? Just the two, or can it be like three marriages or something?
Counties can be as long as you want. You could make the whole board a single county.
Right,
if
but
you
right here
wanted
we
to.
have adjacent two colors. Could it be
Oh.
three colors adjacent?
Oh, that's a marriage. And
Okay,
yeah, so you can only have
so the
two
max is two
players as part
marriages.
of a marriage.
No
Okay.
polygamy.
Yeah.
Oh, I see what it represents. Okay, it represents the marriage. Got it. Okay. Yeah, I guess you're right. Okay. But yeah, I mean, because there's so many unpredictable combinations of marriages coming in and out of of a single space, right? Now, so not doubling up the lines, but going to more adjacent territories. That's really interesting in the unpredictableness, because I'm strengthening one side, and then someone else strengthens the other side with a different marriage, and it can get really complicated. The web of family ties. The gold too. we- For me, the game shines as the social level of the game. The social level, I mean, the marriages, the control, the interaction. For me, the war game aspect, the area, I guess you've got a lot of area control. I could have done without the gold, I guess is what I'm thinking. Um, if you've got six tile types, right? Say I have seven tile types. Hmm. I mean, the gold probably incentivizes player not to turtle up. There's a big pile of gold. I want to go over there and get it. Um, I just wonder if you've ever tried a game with maybe one less tile type, like just scaling that tile type back. Maybe the board is the same size, but I just wonder if that would just narrow my focus a little bit to give me more freedom and fewer choices.
Yeah, we've talked about doing things like that. The trick is that because we put so much emphasis on making pairs, if you decrease well, decreasing by one is not a big change, but if, for example, some people have suggested maybe you cut it way down for beginners and just have 3 or 4 kinds of tiles. The trouble with that is if you only have 3 kinds of tiles, then everything it's touching is probably everything is probably touching one of its pairs. So it's something we haven't experimented with too much, but we'll probably have to explore it at some point.
On a
For the
different
sake
note,
of
with the gold, that I'm not saying we wouldn't do away with it, but the more accustomed to the game people get, like when John and Neil are playing against each other, the gold placement and the tug of war between that becomes what really like everybody focuses on. So it's but I don't know if that's worth having if it's so difficult for newer people. So it's something to keep in mind.
You can go with that. I'm trying to say from my experience, the marriages were what was more interesting than going for the gold.
Yeah.
If I want to go for the gold, I might just play Scythe. I mean, there's a lot of similarities I see with Scythe. You put resources on the board. They're controlled by the player with the most area majority. I want to go out and fight it. There's the exploration element. But Scythe doesn't have marriages, and Scythe doesn't have complex interactions between two adjacent area controls in a shared mutual objective labeled a marriage. So that I think if you were going to lean in a way, I would choose that as the more interesting thing that your game has to offer. And okay, and the last question for the theme, what is the land tile exactly? Is it an area of land? Is it a plot of land? Is it a country? Is it a people group? What is it supposed to represent?
So each of the abilities are themed as like guilds, so you can kind of think of it as a district that is mostly controlled by that guild or another, or they have a lot of influence there. That's kind of the geographical idea there.
Is this a land that is nomadic, or there's no monarchy? There's no king that presides over all of us? There's no
We're
central.
inventing
Not yet.
feudalism, man. Didn't exist before. Everything's up for grabs.
Yeah.
Well,
We had
Yeah, it's-
toyed with the idea of starting with fiefs already existing that are neutral or something, but the game's already pretty complex, and it's kind of fun to build your own fiefs and make deals with your fiefs and everything.
Yeah. All right, those were my notes. Thanks for showing me the game. That was fun.
Thanks a lot for playing.
Poor
Appreciate
Green
it.
though. I felt really bad for Green the whole game.
Yeah.
If it helps, I was green in most of our 3-person play tests. That happened to me
Okay.
a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, awesome. Thanks.
So
Thanks, Matt.
I can go next if you like.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. My first note, I kind of typed these as we went along. Needs more rules at setup. That's irony. I don't know if you caught that.
Well, it would have been the first.
Now, yeah, it was a lot to take in. And the next thing that I put down and why it was for me, and I think what you might have, I'm assuming have you had other problems with people not being able to soak it all up immediately? And if that's
Yeah.
true, I think it's because so many things in this game do not feel intuitive. That's one reason. The second reason is there's a lot of issues on UI that make me think something, and then I find out later that the rule is something different. And I can give you a couple of examples. You've got this player card. You've got a count, and it's showing me two baronies connected. But then when you're playing the game, I'm seeing people connect 3, 4, 5 baronies into a county, and I don't understand why that's happening. The next thing is you've got all of these decrees. Well, these decrees are on the exact same level on the card as the county, which makes me intuitively, I'm thinking, oh, so if I've got a sentinel that's part of a county, then I'm opening the space up. But that's not true. That's not the rule. But the rule for opening up all of these guild actions is nowhere on the card. It doesn't tell me what I need to do. Or contain 2 patron. I don't know.
It's in there, but it's more lingo.
Yeah, it's very. It doesn't read very easily. Let's see. A couple things for counterintuitive. I mean, I intuitively can understand why if I'm here and somebody's next to me, we can marry up. I get that. That makes sense to me. The whole idea of you can marry across the board and just go anywhere you like and put down things. There's some things where you can go to other parts of the map and do whatever you like, but then there's others that you just can't do that. It just felt very odd. The next thing was, I think that there is a dominant strategy to the game. Having played it once, I can tell you, if I'd gone back and played it again, I'm going double on the smuggler, and I'm going out, and that's it, because it's an area control game, and that gives me free actions to spread out as far as I possibly can. I think that's going to be a dominant strategy. I don't see why I would go anywhere else other than that.
So you would actually only have one smuggler's favor, so you would only be able to use the smugglers once.
But it's a pair,
Yes.
right? And if I connect a pair with
Oh,
a
yeah.
county,
Yeah, you'd get two.
Once you have a county, that is.
and that'd be
two
the very
pieces.
first thing that I would do. I would find the double smuggler, I would connect them. So now I can smuggle out as much as possible. The assassin over here in the corner with nobody touching it is absolutely meaningless. Gold at the beginning of the game, going 3 rounds in, it was meaningless because it can just be shifted and moved along. So there's no meaning whatsoever to generate gold early on in the game. The sailor, that was meaningless early in the game. Even the sentinels, I can see some meaning to them, but early on in the game, it seemed I don't see any square on this board, except perhaps the mason, which allows me to extend out a little bit even further. But the smuggler's space for an area control game is going to be a dominant strategy for this game. I figured it out. I figured it out after placement of everything happened and after I started seeing how things were working. But I think that needs to get fixed. So the other note that I had is when you do have spaces, I get the complexity of the game, but when you're making a complex game and you have first-time players, and there are spaces that have no real strategic advantage, like why the hell would you put a place here to start? Then I think that you should have a pre-planned setup for first-time players. Tell them, here's exactly where here's the board, your first map. This is your first game. Here's the board. Here's how it's set up. Here's where player 1 is, player 2, player 3, player 4. Because that way I would avoid the mistake that I made mistakes that completely messed my game up. And now it's like, well, I can't do anything about it because it's essentially an engine. It is an engine builder, although it's area control engine building. But I didn't know how to build my engine at the beginning, and so I'm sputtering through while other people are just expanding like hell. So I agree with what Matthew said. I think the game has a positive feedback loop. The further ahead you are, the faster you're going. So if you're behind, you're just seeing the first place player go further, and it's like, well, I don't have any real reason to continue at this point. Let's see. The language on your player aid card saying once per turn is very easy to misconstrue because everything on this card, A through E, is once per turn. Right? Or can I do multiple guild actions and can I marry 4 times on a single turn?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it is only 1A. That's once per turn.
Okay. That was confusing. I thought that I could only do that once per phase at the start, and then I realized that I misread it. And I think that was because it was listed here and not listed anywhere else. The playtime, in 2 hours and 15 minutes, including the teach, I took a total of 10 actions. That was excruciating. So I don't know how you're going to be able to get it down, but if the finished game were like that and I took 10 actions in 2 hours and 15 minutes, it's going to go back on the shelf and it's not going to come back down, basically. So I don't know if there's better UI or kind of setting people up to begin with or some other things, but I want to be able to do more in a shorter amount of time. What else? The 1, 4, 7, 10 rule. It's in the rule book. Is it anywhere really laid out on a player 8 card? You're muted, Neil.
It's actually written incorrectly on current. That was a very recent change. So the playmats on the very bottom line, they say for each guild gain half as many favors as baronies you claim rounded up. So now it's 1/3 rounded up.
Hold on, for each guild. Okay.
So in the past it was 135.
Okay. I think that's all of my notes. Yeah, that's everything that I had on my notes. Were there any specific questions or anything that I said that triggered a thought or something?
I think
Do you think that if you had interacted with the marriage system more or differently, you could have had a better game?
It's possible, but I was kind of assuming the role of the guy playing Monopoly who doesn't trade, and so I wanted to see what would happen if I didn't do that, because I assume you are going to have some players who aren't going to do that, and so I wanted to see if I could build something with that, and it didn't happen, obviously. So that kind of trails on what Matthew was saying, is that since, I mean, I'm assuming it's impossible to win a game without involving yourself in marriage. Is that a fair statement?
Not impossible, but exceedingly rare. I think I won once. I actually did the same thing you did often, which is why I said that I was the green player in most of our
Yeah.
play tests. And it's a bad idea, but the problem is exactly what Matt was saying too, that it should be kind of forced or even more incentivized to be in marriages all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Always
I think,
your way to crawl back from the brink is through marriages.
If it does happen, it usually would happen because you spawned in a very good area of the map where you just have doubles all over the place and you can easily build up a strong structure without inviting anyone else in.
Yeah.
Yeah, but all fair. I think you mentioned maybe having a predetermined board and like telling you where to spawn for people's first time. I think that's not only a much better way for us to read off the rules, because it's like as they're doing it, we would be able to explain rules. It's a lot less. Here's 50 rules. Now explore with them.
Yeah.
We briefly considered it, but I don't know what our reasoning for just doing it the way it was, but that's definitely, I think that's a really good idea.
Okay. And then, I mean, if doubles next to each other on a randomly generated map is going to give you a significant amount of power, that could also potentially be a problem. Especially if it gives you a severe first player advantage to be able to pick that spot first. Mm-hmm. And so I don't know. Yeah, maybe a snake draft at setup could fix that, kind of like Catan, where because right now, didn't we just go around once and then twice?
Yes.
Yeah. And so I feel like that gave the Evan an advantage because he was able to pick it gave him an advantage, although he didn't know how to exploit it because it was his first game.
Of course.
But in a future game, it would give him a very heavy advantage knowing where to go.
Yeah. On the other hand, I think that Sasha placing right next to Evan is a way that you can kind of spoil the, if people are placing wherever the doubles are, just place wherever the doubles are too, and they're forced to interact with you for marriages or something.
Right.
I think where we're at.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I think probably where we're at is that you might be right, and we just don't have enough data points to say that, because there's also probably some degree of advantage to placing last because you can scope out the area where people might have given enough room and no one has an opportunity to sort of counter your move. We just don't have enough numbers on it, I guess, to say for
And
sure.
you can't place on the same token. Two people can't share the same spot, right?
Not to start, right?
Okay. Yeah,
But
that's
it
it
would
for
be
me.
trivial to just try snake draft on the next time we do a playtest.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Eric.
Sasha.
Yeah. Hello. That was there's a lot going on. Overall, I went back and forth between feeling like I understood 80% of what I was doing to feeling like I understood 40% of what I was doing. And I kept like sort of going back and forth through the play. Uh, Everyone has said this, and I'm sure Evan will say this again. Uh, way too much flavor in the explanation and the terms and everything for it to be understood by people that haven't been around this game for a while. Um, I You kept saying fief, and I was not entirely sure what you were talking about. And then we kept talking about um, favors and decrees, and I didn't understand what any of that meant or where any of that was. If it was pointed to once and then brought up again later, I couldn't remember what you were talking about because those words are new words to me in the context of playing board games for the most part. Um, I I know I've heard these words before, but they don't mean anything to me in the context of a board game, is I guess what I'm trying to say. Whereas like using words like um, token on the top half of your board or token on the bottom half of your board or something like that would go a very long way to helping people understand the game when you're teaching it. And then are fiefs tiles, or what are fiefs? Am I saying that
Fiefs are
right?
tiles. Tiles
Yeah.
are baronies, which is a type of fief. Counties are also fiefs. Duchies are fiefs. Fief is
Okay.
just
Tier
a division of
Got it.
territory.
Yeah, I was incredibly confused by that term and had no idea what we were talking about.
Sorry, we just kept repeating it.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and I eventually was starting to get how things worked mechanically, but I felt like I had to dig to figure that out rather than it being explained that way. And so yeah, doing really things like a loyalty token and a road and like these could just be like a duchy and then there's maybe I don't know, at least flavor wise these look like roads, these are roads in other games, this is a road and this is looks different and could just not look like a road and just be called a duchy, and it like to me it was very confusing having these be called uh I don't like it says county road on it, but like uh I kept being confused. Is this a county? Is this whole thing a duchy? And then this is the duchy is connecting two counties, but it's not a duchy connecting two counties. This whole thing is a duchy. This is just a thing saying that this whole thing is a duchy. And I think it was the sort of tiers of understanding and the I think simplifying how all this is explained. And sure, you can have all of the sort of flavor things, written out somewhere for the people that really want all the sort of flavor things, but mechanically it just felt so hard to understand what was happening because of all of the terminology and the like accurate terms just made it more confusing. I'm gonna go back to reading my script of the things I wrote down because I'm a little bit off. I'm just rambling. Okay, first thing I wrote down: puzzle pieces for hexes. Why? I was curious about that. Why is it not just hexes? I get that puzzles are sort of cool and fun, but I think it does add to visual complexity for not much advantage. Yeah.
So for tabletop simulator, we could and have done it with just hexes. Our concern is that if you just have hexes on a table, one bump and you lose a whole lot of information.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how this is being set on the table, but I've definitely played several games with hexes that have things on the hexes, and it's not really a problem. I would just if you really need it, if it's like you've been playtesting it and it's been a problem, and so now we need the puzzle pieces to make sure that to solve this problem. Just to me, it doesn't seem necessary. And to that point, I think that this could be more modular or like bigger chunks. It doesn't have to be each individual hex randomized. It could be bigger chunks of a big map that may be like two-sided triangle shapes or something, so that you could like randomize, so that you could get this feeling of randomness without having to individually put out all of these hexes, on top of also having to deal with this puzzle pattern that can add visual complexity. So that was just a quick note, just some thoughts. And it does seem like it's mainly a physical prototype sort of thing. I would just make sure that you need it that way, because it seems like that would be more of a hassle to manufacture and also, and like I said, add visual complexity. Next thing I wrote down: marriages seem important. So this is in the teach, because the amount that we're talking about marriages, they seemed important, but I did not know why. And I just wrote that down. I was like, marriages seem important, and I was ready to learn why marriages were going to be important later on. And turn one, I'm just like, let's get married. And I still didn't know why marriages were important, but it seemed like they were important because of how much we talked about them during the teach. So I'm going to do it. I gradually over the course of the game, I started to understand what marriages did, but I wish that I had a better understanding of it, other than I thought they were important because we talked about it for a long time. So that was that. Timing for marriage. Oh yeah, go ahead.
You're saying that you wish you hadn't married Evan? You're regretting it?
No,
It's not the first time I've heard that.
There's no take backs. When you get married, there's no take backs.
No, I don't regret the marriage, but I wish that I knew why I was doing it, other than that we talked about marriage for a long time during the teach.
So no different than life.
Yeah, exactly.
No.
Exactly. Okay, and then timing for marriage is the next thing I wrote down. It just seemed a little bit ambiguous. So it's like on a player's turn. It has to be one of the two players' turns.
That's right.
Okay. But it doesn't, like, it sort of acts like it's taking a turn, but it doesn't actually take your turn, or you pay influence. Like this whole sort of system of the marriages costing more and more. I see it goes up to 8. And I'm like, how can you pay that much influence?
I've seen like 6 before, but that was also before we did the nerf to how many favors you get. So
Got it.
Yeah, so
we might not
really
need quite as many.
it's possible to get a higher number by combining influence with Bard's favors. because they can both pay for it. So if you had
Mhm.
like 4 of each, then you could
I
pay for
see.
8. But with the way we do favors now, you're probably never going to reach that much.
Yeah. Yeah, it seems like I got married once and then I did a second marriage thing with Evan. And then I was like, okay, I don't see myself getting married again. It like the amount of turns that I have to give up to do that, uh when in most cases I'm benefiting the other person as much as I'm benefiting myself. Um yeah, it just it felt insurmountable, and or if I was doing well, then people wouldn't want to get married to me. I don't know. That's mainly a feelings thing that I'm trying to express, but yeah, I just um okay, and then back. These not clear what it means. Yep. Too much flavor and teach. Yeah, we talked about this. Um, Number under marriage token. Yeah, this is just a quick thing that Evans said. Just yeah, this is covering the number. Not that big of a deal. But um, visiting needs to be. Oh, voting needs to be more clear. Yeah. So in my head, these pips, like seeing this board, and like physically seeing how it's laid out, these pips looked like population, and in my head I was like, oh, I have more population, I have more votes. But that's not what it is. That's not how the voting thing works. It's each one of these tokens is essentially a vote. uh, and I kept confusing that in my head, just because in my head I was thinking population and number of votes. That's how many votes I have, is because I have more population, I have more votes. But so just for intuitiveness, maybe thinking of a way to either explain that, or maybe using a word other than vote, or something along those lines, that just I think would help clear that up. Um, Oh, and I guess while I'm here, I think marriage is also a term that felt weird to me, because I was marrying Evan several times, and I was like
Oh yeah.
unclear to. So I think I'm gonna explain what I think it meant. I think the marriage is like between two different sort of uh entities. We are not those entities. We are controlling these entities, but we're not like a I'm not entirely sure what we represent.
You as the
We're
players
like a
like the
sort,
dynasty.
we're
in
sort of
that
like
sense. Yeah,
this
yeah.
idea. We're not like
Yeah.
an actual thing. We don't like have a family that we're marrying our family off to necessarily, or maybe we are, but the like being able to marry the same person multiple times just felt weird from a like vocabulary sense. That was not intuitive to me, to being able to marry the same person multiple times, because I thought me was marrying Evan the player, and so it didn't make sense to be able to marry multiple times. So I don't know if it's if marrying is not the right term, or at very least it needs to be explained in a way that is a very clear, that it's not, you are not, you as a player are not marrying this other player. It is a connections, like you're making a deal. It's a deal. And I get
An
flavor wise
alliance.
that's what marriage is, uh, and can be used in the flavor of what's going on. But I think the term marriage was throwing off what this was about, and might be deterring, uh, partially deterring people from interacting with it, or at least interacting with it in the way that I think you want them to interact with it. So yeah, again, it may be a terminology thing, but I was confused by it. It was not intuitive, because of the terminology. Um, um, oh, yeah, I was worrying about marriage and breaking marriage for balance and player feels. Like, I don't know. Again, maybe using a different term, like some sort of deal or alliance or something. Just because marriage for some people it's like this emotional connection kind of thing, and then like you can break marriages in this game. We didn't do it, but that you can, right?
We have stopped players from being able to break their own marriages because we don't want a system where like someone's got a kingdom and they've got bonuses because of a marriage, and then the other player just
But
deletes it despite them.
Is there any reason that I couldn't attack that or whatever?
No, you cannot attack your own marriage, but that barony is within your marriage, but it's not your marriage. Right?
And it's not my marriage because of
Your marriage
So-
is a county, but the county is made up of sub-fiefs that have different members of your families in charge or whatever.
yeah. I mean this that doesn't sound. That's not what I would assume how things work. And I think the more that you can make things work the way that would be assumed, and maybe it is just language, the way it's explained, it would be more intuitive if it was explained in a different way. But like, I if I had a marriage, it feels like I'm ending my marriage. If I like my assumption, just not knowing, if I knew nothing about the game, if I was in a marriage with someone and I attacked their thing, I'm no longer in a marriage with them. We are butting heads. We are like, I broke our marriage because I am attacking my lover or whatever it is. That's like the story that plays out in my head when we use the term marriage. And that is not how it works. And so it maybe should be a different term or explained in a different way, because that is not intuitive to me. And I don't think I'm the only one, but I can only speak for myself. Eric and I did the only fighting in the game. And yeah, fighting seems
No,
pretty.
Matthew took me out.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Oh, right
There was
here.
one
There's
time
one
it
right
was
there.
super
Super rude.
isolated,
Yeah. It does seem like generally bad to do any sort of combat because you're essentially like spending turns to do it, unless it like gives you significant advantage. It felt a little bit funny how Eric could take out one of my things, then with my next action I could put a thing back, or like it felt like we were just like trading turns, which obviously is bad for both of us. But it felt a little bit funny that I could just undo whatever Eric just did. And if I had a influence advantage, which I did over him for most of the game, I could take that trade because it hurts him more than it hurts me. Like it still hurt me, but it just felt weird that he like couldn't get any advantage. It didn't feel like he could get any real advantage out of doing that. I mean, I liked that I could just undo what he did, but it didn't feel good. And I knew that it also hurt me. So it just was a feels bad thing, I guess. And yeah, I felt like there should be something else there to make it a little bit more interesting of a decision for him. And maybe I had to sort of recover in a different way, or I don't know. I'm not sure what it was, but it just felt weird. Marriage seems too good for people to be able to deny you. And this, I wrote this before we talked about forced marriages. I'm still using the word marriage because that's what the game uses, but I still think that it should maybe be a different word. But yeah, I agree with this. Marriage seems too good for people to be able to deny you. Yeah, being able to be stuck and then you can't get married because no one wants to get married to you. Yeah, I think can feel pretty bad. Gold seems high risk. That's just like the sort of initial thought. Obviously, I stole gold. It seems like the favor way of getting gold. You're spending turns to get that gold, and you're not guaranteed that. and so it feels like it's better to just be near someone that is getting gold and steal their gold, because then they're like using their turn and then you get points for your actions, and they basically waste turns. Obviously it played out in a way like I probably could have been more strategic and realized that Evan was the person that I should be focusing on, and I could have focused on trying to steal this gold, and I didn't really do that or think about it until after I'd used all my influence. But he also got the gold pretty late, so he definitely was strategic about it. But if I was to play this again, I don't think I'd almost never get gold, but I would be positioning myself to always steal gold, and because that seems pretty strong. And so, yeah, just reiterating, the gold seems high risk. Marry cross the board is not intuitive. Yeah, again, we talked about it. Again, maybe marrying is the wrong term, but also just that was like one of the things that you could do across the board. Most of the things where you can do right next to yourself. It didn't seem intuitive that there was this one thing that you could just do across the board. Some guilds are almost this sort of reiterating what some of the other feedback was. Some guilds felt like they were almost never dead. Like the guild favors felt like they were almost never dead. They were always, you could always get some value out of them. And then some other ones felt like they were very situational and were dead several rounds. And that sort of imbalance felt weird, and enhances the amount of the initial placement mattering a lot. I think if the all the favors had some like little use or like throwaway use, so that you could always get something out of them. You weren't like having rounds where they just, or phases, or again, that terminology is also feels a little bit funny to me, but having it so that you could always spend your favors for something, and not having favors that just don't do anything. Yeah, I think that would go a long way. Reiterating the 1, 4, 7, 10 being confusing. Yeah, the way that this was worded, even with it was how it worked before, this is also a confusing way of explaining this. I don't know what the exact correct solution was. My intuitive thought was I could get more of these on here easier, and I get that is likely a balanced decision as to why that didn't work. My intuition, like with it being not the next one you get gives you another one. I'm not explaining that the best way, but yeah, it would be like the first one you get, the next one like needs 2, and then you get 1, and the next one needs 3, and that's essentially how it works. But the way that it was explained as the 1, 1, 4, 7, 10, this was and it felt impossible to remember or memorize, and I late into the game I completely forgot that I could get 1 for I actually can't even remember now why I would have been able to have 3 smugglers markers here for 1 action.
Yeah, so you had 3 on the board, and if you
Yeah.
had married into somebody else's, that would give you 4 on the board,
Yeah.
and the marriage is also an additional one.
And what
And
does
the
what does that give you when you have 4?
why is the marriage given additional one?
Barony marriages just give an additional whatever they're on.
Okay, and that is a rule that I don't remember at all. And like, so baronies don't give anything, but barony marriages give something. So
Right.
What is
There are
this?
2 ways to get favors. One
Is
way
it,
is
is this a no? That's not a barony marriage. What is a barony marriage?
there weren't any on the map,
Yeah,
but
these
this is an example of a
Oh,
barony
that's having
marriage.
two on the same. Yeah. Okay. Uh, and how do barony marriages happen?
It's a one influence cost, and it happens the exact same way you do any other kind of marriage, aside from that.
Um. So like I can barony marriage here.
Yes,
So it's one away from where you're at, or is it like
it could
marrying
be anywhere.
anywhere?
You could have
Okay.
done a barony marriage on these assassins.
Yeah. 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 The across the board, it was definitely something that I think. I mean, we never used it in the game. I definitely didn't know that that was an option. I saw that it was there was the like two tokens on the same spot here, but like, and I think in the teach there might have been two on one of the spots at one point, but I definitely did not like know that that was an option. In After the teach, I did not ever think, oh, I'm gonna do that, because I didn't remember that or think that that was a thing that I could do. And I wonder how differently I would have played thinking that that could happen. Slash, um, yeah, making that decision to do that with someone, knowing like when that's valuable, like if I'm giving something up by doing that, or not. Yeah. Anyway, I'll move on from that. That was confusing. I was reminded of Terra Mystica a little bit with the concept of sort of hex tiles that are different, that sort of do different things or sort of work in different ways. And obviously, it's a very different game, but I was just thinking about how Terra Mystica has this board of hex with water and this sort of map that is static, and it's not randomized tiles. And I think I guess I just bring that up as a point of reference for, I don't think that this game needs this level of modularity. Uh, it is, I think, a very common thing. I know I do it myself, for game designers to love modularity and love having things be able to be customized each game, everything be randomized, and like each game is going to be completely different experience because everything is in different places. I think that ultimately just is not worth the extra setup time and extra tear down and all those extra steps. So I think simplifying that, and yeah, I just brought Terra Mystica as an example of a asymmetrical hex thing that is a static map. Two tokens on the same spot never happened. Oh yeah, so that was my last note. Yeah, that's everything that I wrote down. The sort of TLDR is really about the words that are being used make the game not intuitive, and so I think having that in the rule book, having that in like the sort of flavor section of the rule book, not in the actual like rules teach, all these sort of flavored terms is good and fine, but I think it is really hurting the ability for people to understand what they're doing. And that was, I think, I I feel like I could give better feedback on more sort of strategic stuff if I didn't have to spend the entire game figuring out what the words meant. Yeah, but overall, I like a lot of the overarching concepts in this game, and I would be interested in playing it again with a better understanding of how things work to see how strategy works in this game. Yeah. Anyways, that's me. I'm gonna pass it off to Evan, and I'll take notes as he's talking.
Cool.
Thank you, Sokka.
Yeah. Oh, actually, if there was any questions or things that you wanted to respond to that I said just before we pass it to Evan. no worries if not. I just
I just want to say one thing.
Yeah.
If you don't mind, I'm gonna jet. It's a bit late on the East Coast.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Thanks again, Matt.
good night. It was fun playing.
Good night, Matthew. Oh, tell the kids at home how they can find you and support what you're working on.
Krillgame.com. Krill are like shrimp, so you just remember krillgame.com, and that'll give you the video, the testimonial, and at the bottom, if you think it's a interesting game, click to visit it on Kickstarter in probably a month.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Have a good
Thanks
night.
again, everyone.
Yeah.
Have a good night.
Have a great one.
Sasha, I do have one quick question that's
yeah.
maybe a bit of a non sequitur, but I'm not familiar with Terra Mystica.
Mhm.
Are there other sources of randomness in that game? Because aside from turn order, I think the map layout is the only randomness we have in this game. So I'm one of the main reasons we've stuck with it, despite considering a more static map in the past, is if it started identically, there would be no introduction of randomness into the game otherwise. So I mean, I could look up how Terra Mystica works
I
too.
honestly, I haven't played Terra Mystica in a while.
I do know the answer.
Yeah, you answer,
yes,
please.
It has other sources of randomness.
And what is like a main it's with like extra actions that you can do?
So
like,
each round there is a goal that will give you extra points if you accomplish that goal, and those tiles are randomized as far as which round gives you which bonus for which goal you're accomplishing during that round. There's also, I don't know if I would call that random. I'd say that's the big one. And then there are some other goals that are like game long goals that are also randomized.
Yeah, so
short term and long term goals are randomized.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
and in another track that's also again true. Short term and long term goals are randomized. Anyway,
like yeah, honestly, I haven't played it in such a long time. I just was reminded of asymmetrical hex tile terrain and it being a static board. That was the extent of why I wrote that down. Not that I think it should be more like Terra Mystica or anything like that. Just I think it's possible to have less modularity and it still be good.
Awesome. Thanks, Sasha.
Yeah. Go ahead, Evan.
Cool. Yeah. So obviously, we all played the same game. There's a lot of overlap, but I'll just go through my stuff. Jargon. Don't do it. Leave me alone. I didn't do anything to you. Call them pips, call them hexes. Just let me understand your game. Don't put a whole other layer of language between me and your game. Put it in the rule book, right? People love theme. Put it in the rule book. It's in there. The action has a name, and they can look at that name, and that's fun. But when you're describing the game to me, just tell me what the piece does without bringing the extra layer of jargon on top of it, because it's just going to distract me, take me 2 layers out from actually trying to learn the game. It's like, if you tried to teach me this game in German, like, I don't speak German. I would have to learn German to learn this game from you because you're trying to teach it to me in German. Just, like, we both know English, just use English. Because we already both know it, right? The favors and decrees, kind of echoing what Sasha was saying, is some of them were useful and some of them were very conditionally useful. I had 3 defense tokens or whatever they're called, and not a once could I use one, even though all 3 were available when my poor little man got killed, right? I had 3 defense tokens, 1 little man gets killed, couldn't save him, right? Didn't do a dang thing. Worthless, right? Let me use stuff. Let things be good. So because otherwise it's just like, well, why did I do that? That was a waste of an action. That was lame. Why did I care about that? Like, let things be good. Let them be useful. Okay. Uh, a quote from one of you was, "It's easy to forget them." That's not a good quote, right? I mean, it's a good self-aware quote because then you can do something about it. But if that makes it to the final version, that's not good. I have lots of things in my games in process that are like that as well, of course. But yeah, that's just a little tag to know that needs to change. Yeah, we all wasted so many favors. Most of them weren't useful. There's tons of gates and no's. Like, just so many things in this game tell you no, you can't do that. Like, just remove a few gates. Let me play. Let me use stuff. Let me do cool things that make me feel like I did cool things. I do agree that I think maybe 7 is too many. I definitely wouldn't change how many different types you have based on the player count. I think that's a horrible idea, but I think you could go down to 6 pretty easily. 5 might warp your game a lot. But I think 5 or 6 would work very well. I think 4 is probably too few. I think 7 is probably too many. I think 5 or 6 is kind of the sweet spot. And is that just because of what we're used to, because you see it over and over and over in design? Or is it that we see it over and over and over in design because it's the best way to go? I don't know, right? Who knows? But that seems true to me in this case. Yeah, make the favors simple and good. They were way too complex for like when you can do a thing, when you can't do a thing. I think the ultimate thing on the complexity for understanding when things are useful and when you can't and when you can is you have this thematic attachment to the harp is in this hex. It's nowhere else. It's in this hex. There's one man, he's got a harp, and he lives right here. Right? Nope, he doesn't walk over there. He lives right here. I know your barony's connected, but that dude lives right here. And if it's not right next to where that dude lives, you can't do it. Right? It's not that now you've incorporated a certain type of, clan of people that, hey, they like to do mining and now my whole thing is wealthy. Nope. It doesn't make my whole thing wealthy. It's only if I'm right next to those people. Even though I have this network and I have these roads, that doesn't matter. Am I right next to it or am I not right next to it? And that adjacency, like range thing, makes sense in certain applications of what's going on in this game, but most of them, I think, is just limiting you, and it's limiting people from playing the game and limiting people from having fun in the game. If I incorporated some assassins into my county, let me use my assassins, right? Maybe adjacency with the edge of that county makes sense, right? Something like that, or whatever. If I'm in a larger, like, if they're within a duchy, then yeah, let me use them within one of the duchy, and then the masons let me extend that to 2. But if it's but the restriction to that hex being the only place where that assassin can go, I think that's the main crux of all the no's that your game is telling the players. No, 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 no. You can't do that, can't do that, can't do that. I think it's that restriction of those miners. That's just where they live, man. I don't know. That assassin, he doesn't like to leave home. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. I think that's the crux of what's stopping people from being able to do this stuff. Right, one play, who knows? But that's what it seems like. Marriages. Okay, let me go higher level. It is in this game. It is difficult to understand how to do things and why to do things. Just kind of like that's just the blanket statement. I don't know why I would do it. I don't even know how to do it. And if I learn how to do it, I still don't know why to do it. It seems like I want to make connections and grow stuff, maybe get some gold. But on a high level, I understand that. But on a turn to turn, action to action basis, I'm like, I don't know. I guess I could get one of those useless tokens if I go there. Is that good? I don't know. I could get married. Is that good? I really don't know. I don't know if it's good or bad. Is incorporating 3 hexes into a county a good idea? Is 4 a good idea? Or should it just be 2 because that's the better way to go for efficiency? I don't know. Is it an interesting question? Maybe, but there's so many layers of junk in the way that I can't find out strategically if I should make counties 2 or 3 hexes big in this particular moment. Because those hexes almost don't matter anyway, because they only have that little range of 1 around them. Marriages are another thing that, wow, it's dense. Just, like, are we a great house and we're marrying off members of the household? Are we making alliances? Does my family have a bunch of dukes and barons just hanging out waiting to get married? I don't know. I don't know. It's almost too specific, yet also too abstracted at the same time. Like the rules around it are so specific, but the application of it is so abstracted that you like kind of need to give on one side or the other. Like either make the rules much more simple and lenient, or make the application like more specific thematically. If you wanted to go alliances, that's a different direction, right? You would have rules work a slightly different way, and it would make sense for them being alliances. If you wanted to go marriage, you would have 2 little standee people, right? You've got this person and this princess so and Prince what's his butt, and Prince what's his butt. To the 2 people that are married, he gives +1 dagger. Right? And then the person that Prince What's His Butt got married to is going to give both people in that marriage +1 shield. Or what? Just like whack away some of the complexity of marriage and just be like, oh, that's why I would do it. I want your dagger and you want my shield. Awesome. And then you have access to some of the extra tiles in my thing. There's just a tiny bit too much complexity in like why you would even get married, I think. And then counting adding marriage into like adding, instead of needing the hex of that type, you have a marriage there. I think that's one step too far and too abstracted and too weird. It just doesn't make any sense. Like you can justify it, but it just like a player walking into it wouldn't be like, oh yeah, of course a marriage adds 1 harp hex within that grouping. Of course, for the purposes of a barony decree or whatever. It's a little too much, I think. So simplify, make it obvious why it's good and why you'd want to do it. Voting. There was so much talk about votes, and it was in the teach, and we discussed it already in feedback, and no one ever voted. So make it relevant or get rid of it is what I say. It's either a thing that's going to happen in the game regularly or it shouldn't exist. Influence. No influence means you can't take an action with one of your little tokes. Yeah, that's just feel bad. Like if you didn't plan ahead and you forgot to use it, then you're like, oh, I can use it. Like we were all like, yeah, Eric, of course you can use your thing that you should have used on your turn. Like, there's no need for the restriction to have to do that. Just be like, yeah, it's your turn. You can use a thing that you have to use. And then also, like Matthew was saying, the scaling of doing better and then getting more actions to do more better with might be an issue for sure. Um, I think marriage is an interesting potential for a catch-up mechanism. It's not as obvious as like the merge power in Ankh, right? It's not like quite so blatant where it's like, yeah, you should do that. And if you can get married early, that changes, like you just do, it's more of a convenience at that moment rather than like, ooh, we're behind. Don't help out the person ahead. But I think marriage could be a really um, an awesome thing that makes you kind of like makes two players who aren't doing so hot kind of pick it back up. It could help a little bit with catching up. But again, more actions for the person ahead is probably not great. But I don't know. Winning the game. I mean, this is just a totally just random thought in my head, but it's like, if I'm the emperor, shouldn't I win? If I'm the king and there's no emperor and there's no other kings, shouldn't I win? Regardless of how many favors are owed me and if I have 2 or 3 gold more than another person. It just seems like highest title should win. And then, you can make tiebreakers. Like if there's 2 kingdoms, then yeah, whoever has the more gold or whatever. But I don't know, totally different idea. It's just popped into my brain. That's an idea that popped in my brain. The map, I agree generally. Single hexes, despite doing them in one of my games. I do think for this purpose, because it is so relevant what shows up next to what, that I think you do need to curate that a little bit. And whether that means making groupings of 3 hexes, making groupings of 5 hexes, or just a pre-printed board, I don't know. But totally randomized, everything, you might have the 4 tiles of the same type right next to each other. It feels like you need to curate it a little bit. To what degree, I don't know. But I love exploring in games, so if you do have, like, it did feel really weird where I was constricted in my movement around the edge until a certain like time ticker, and then all of a sudden I had more to access, rather than letting me have that be a thing I can do or choose to do with my actions. Plus, I just like exploring in games. But is that the right call? I don't know. That's just what I wanted to do. When it's interesting how many times you have to reference all of the tiles under your stuff. It happens a lot, and you have to do the same checking a bunch. Like you're checking them to see why you would do the move, right? And then you decide to do the move, and then you do the move, but you don't use that information you just learned. You wait until the start of the next round, and then you've already forgotten the information, and you recheck, and then gain the thing from it. So it's like, when I unlock a thing, just let me immediately put a token down. Maybe it's burnt, right? Like maybe it's already expended and I can't use it until the next round. But like I've already done the math and counted the tiles in that moment. Just let me put the spent token down. And then we don't have to, and then you're just refreshing at the start of the round rather than counting everything again. You know what I mean? Just as far as like a timing thing, then you don't have to count it twice as many times, basically. Time between turns, TTS, first play, sure, those are good things to point to say why it took so long. But at the end of the day, first play TTS was probably still too long. And I suspect if you do get this to the table, it'll still be kind of brutal in that way. And I think if you streamline some stuff in here, I think you'll get to the time between turns that you want, without like removing a whole section of stuff. Like I think this game can get to the turn time that it should be, with some streamlining. and I just made a note that, like, since I had more actions than Eric, he was waiting 16.8 minutes per turn between taking an action, and I was waiting 14.4 minutes per turn because I had more actions throughout the course of the entire time. So I was like, oh man, not only was he doing worse, he had to wait longer to do a worse, you know? So that's just maybe another check in the box of more actions for the leaders, not necessarily awesome. That's what I've got. But you know, I tend to focus on like the issues I had. But I love this kind of game. Like I love area control, combat, connecting things, you know, set collection of different types of things. I love that kind of stuff. It just for me, it needs a layer of kind of cleaning up some things and making some things a little more intuitive, a little more streamlined, just to just let me access it, let me play it, because I want to play, you know, Terra Mystica, Gaia Project, all that stuff. Like I love those kind of games, and I love this kind of game. And yours has a different feeling than any other that I've played. Right? It has a different feeling. So if you can strip stuff away and actually let me access the cool feelings that are in there and the cool gameplay ideas, that actually are different, then I think that'd be really awesome.
Cool.
I appreciate it. If I could just ask about
Thanks a
the
lot.
victory condition. We used to be thinking about Emperor, and it was kind of a mess. But do you feel that the way that we calculated victory here was wrong or not fun?
That's
Or
fine.
are you just floating other ideas?
It was fine. I think it's more compelling.
Yeah, intuitively and like you're saying,
Right.
compelling, it does make sense. What we felt like we ran into is the closer, in the same way that it still feels in any game, the closer anybody got to the top, the more, like, you know, crabs in a bucket, people were shoving them down. So we never saw Emperor, and that was when we didn't even have turn limits. So
Right.
that's why
I'm not saying you have to
reached that
play.
point, but
Yeah, I'm not saying you have to play
Yeah.
to get to Emperor. I'm just saying at the end of the game.
right.
Yeah.
I get you though.
Yeah.
So
I think the other thing we found, there's one point where we made it so that only gold was relevant to victory, and all the players felt that it was like there was a certain part of the game that they were having fun with, and it wasn't the getting the gold, it was the building up their structure and forming alliances and stuff like that. So we tried to make it more aligned with that. So maybe I don't know exactly what we should do, but if we did do something like having value because you're the one king or you're the one emperor, I think it maybe is worth putting more significance on that. But yeah, like Chris said, maybe we don't want to put the whole game on that.
Yeah.
But yeah, something to think about. Lots to think about.
Is there anything that you guys are still wondering about, or have any specific questions for us, or anything, any lingering stuff that like kind of we just didn't really cover, or that you're worried about, or anything you want to speak to, or have us speak to?
I have a couple quick things, I hope. So do you feel like would it have been better if we had given more strategic pointers throughout the game as opposed to letting you guys sort of drop in wherever and work from where you wound up? Like if we maybe said don't go there at the beginning?
I think for me, I don't really care for strategic pointers. Some players do. I think it's just a person-to-person thing, and you're going to find some groups that are like, "Oh, thank you so much," and other people will kind of like bristle at you telling them what to do. I think it just depends on the person.
And I also think it depends on the type of feedback that you're looking for. Like if you're looking for feedback on how intuitive things were and stuff, like not giving us pointers will make those sort of be more glaring, and so you'll get more feedback on the things that were not intuitive. So I think it just depends on if you wanted feedback on how the strategic choices were, then yeah, sort of guiding us a bit more to make it so that we were just doing the strategic choices and we weren't fumbling over intuitiveness. So yeah, I think it comes down to what sort of feedback you're looking for.
Makes sense.
A couple just little things that I just wanted to follow up after Evan, mainly sort of echoes, but just thoughts that came up. I also felt like roads should make things adjacent. That was something that felt intuitive to me. I get that that's could be a balance issue, but that does feel intuitive. Like what are roads for? If not to be able to move your people along the roads. And then the doubled up when married here was also not intuitive. The fact that I essentially have 4 here, or it counts as me having 4 in this duchy, feels weird. Am I explaining that correctly?
Yep, you're saying it seems weird. We said a pair of counties here. I think it isn't intuitive that the marriage counts as a pair automatically.
Yeah, because like we have the same spaces. Like the fact that we're sharing the same spaces, I just didn't understand why it counts as 4 when we're just cohabitating. We don't own 4 house. It's not like, yeah, it's the same land, it's the same space. That's why it didn't feel intuitive. I get that there's 4 sticks here going. I guess I didn't. It just didn't make a lot of sense to me.
You're talking kind of thematically.
Yeah, like thematically, and like and all of this is tied together. Like what is intuitive and what makes sense thematically are very much connected, and that is, yeah, didn't make sense to me. The lose. Oh, this was just tying on to Evan talking about like when you claim a spot, you should get that that favor or decree token, or I guess it would just be a decree token, like exhausted, and then I think it would be fine that if you lose a space, you lose a token, like when that happens, rather than having this upkeep phase where you're having to like count up how many spaces you did and then have someone else double check your work. Just having it happen when it happens, and yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense and would save on that upkeep phase. And then the last thing that I wrote down, this was just on the point with the emperor and king being the win conditions. Like at very least, you could just have each of these steps be worth points. And so if you have king, it's worth points. Emperor is worth a lot of points. So usually if you have the emperor, that means you just win, but not necessarily, kind of thing.
Wanted to incentivize collecting decrees and having a rhyme and reason to the territory that you're consolidating, rather than just rewarding building random beeps that don't give you anything except
But those
influence.
tiers did previously give that many points. Like
Got
was
it.
2, 4,
Yeah.
8. Yeah.
I feel like that would give some amount of strategy, like a divergent sort of path to victory. Like I could be going for the emperor win, or I could be going for the just lots of decree win kind of thing. Yeah. Anyway, that's everything I wrote down.
Cool. Any other questions, or Eric? Any other little things that popped up?
No, I'm pretty good.
Cool.
So there's been one comment so far about the appearance of the map. I think it might have been Matt before he left that I think he suggested turning the saturation down on all of the icons.
Or opacity,
I'm
I
looking
think
for
is what he said.
Opacity, but
opacity.
I feel like he might have meant saturation, but maybe opacity.
Yeah, I guess I just reinterpreted. I don't know
I know that's
exactly
what
what
he said.
opacity.
He definitely said opacity. I just
Yeah.
Anyway, do any of you have similar feelings or other comments on the art? One thing
Oh.
we've
When I look at this, I see a prototype and I don't care.
Yeah, I would do the same thing. Is this something that you're intending? Are you intending this art to be the finished final product?
this is art that we made, and I've kind of been feeling like I like this, but I don't know if I'm just attached to my own creation.
And not exactly
So-
close to is kind of the feel. So things like, especially where he said like lower the either saturation or opacity, that would be helpful, because this is close to what we want it to look like, but we expect changes, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead, Evan.
I was just gonna say, like, the marketplace is brutal. If you're planning to sell this for a profit, hire an artist.
Yeah.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Yeah, this art would not attract me at all to purchasing this game if it were the finished product. I mean, it looks perfectly fine for a prototype.
Right.
Sure.
But yeah, if I saw art like this on a game at the hall at Gen Con, I'm going to keep walking and I'm not going to demo it. And I apologize. I don't mean to be deliberately cruel or anything. I'm just being honest and telling you how I feel.
You're good. We're not artists, so there's
All
there's
right,
a
all
reason
right.
people are artists, I guess.
No,
Yeah.
but it's perfectly fine. The prototype looks fine. I've got no problems with that. So.
Oh, for a prototype, like, I make the jankiest looking prototype, so to me this is beautiful for a prototype. But for a final project, you're gonna want to hire somebody.
Sure. Yeah.
I guess to take that next step, the person to talk to would be an artist, but since, as far as I know, we don't have one here, do you have any suggestion in which direction things need to change? Art-wise or presentation-wise?
Art is my last thought when it comes to, because like game design, I'm nuts and bolts. I couldn't care less what it looks like if it's scratches on a piece of paper. If I walk down the hall in Gen Con and I see this, I might stop because I just don't care. But that's, so I don't have any great suggestions. But I know that it matters a lot.
Yep.
Just generally.
Yeah,
I'm a weird outlier.
I think our biggest concern is probably whatever changes happen need to be considerate of the amount of information density that we're trying to pack in here, and whatever we wind up with has to be differentiated.
Right. And
enough.
that's why you work with an artist who's like a board game artist, right? Who has all
Yeah.
those considerations and who has done projects and knows, like, why are we making this certain way? And will probably even have more experience than you, and will come up with a thing where you're like, oh, dude, now you can totally tell that thing is like that thing, and that makes sense with this rule. Oh my gosh, you're amazing, right? Because that's their job.
Yep.
Or, well, I mean, we're starting to get into graphic design too, but that's what they do, right? If they're a board game artist and or graphic designer, like, they have that insight to do that job better than you could ever do it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I think that might be the last of my questions.
I'm happy. You guys have given us a lot to think. development. So
Awesome.
thank you all.
Cool, guys. Well,
Absolutely.
let's say our goodnights and get out of here. Neil Foley, John Elliott, Chris Elliott. How the heck can people follow along and support what you're working on?
For now, all we've got is a Discord. I think you have the link for that. So yeah, maybe next time we're around, we'll have more social things to share, but for now, that's all we're working with.
Cool. Awesome. Sasha, how can people find and support what you're working on?
Well, the main thing right now, I mean, you can find me on Facebook via my name if you want to connect designer to designer, or see me in the Board Game Design Lab Facebook group occasionally. But I think I'm pushing my people to my TikTok now. That's
Oh, you gotta send me
TikTok
the
is
new
banned.
link, man.
Yeah, no, I'll send you a new link. But Sasha Jolton on TikTok. I'm sharing some videos explaining my experience having a game signed with a small publisher, and just sort of the step-by-step process of that. I also do game jam stuff on there, and yeah, just general board game design content. So
Could you spell? You said Sasha. Is it
Jelton?
Jelton?
Jelten.
Cool. I might check that out.
Cool.
Eric, how can people find and support what you're working on, or how can they show up and playtest in your local area?
They'll never find me.
You'll never find
No. So yeah, I don't run. I guess I help organize the Sacramento Board Game Designers Meetup. We're on Meetup. There's a Facebook group as well, Sacramento Board Game Designers. You could join our Facebook group. It's open to the public. You can contact me on Facebook, and yeah, that's about it.
Nice. Awesome. I'm Evan Halbert. You can go buy 47 copies of After the Empire. And then there's an expansion coming out at some point. We're doing playtesting for that now. If you want to playtest it, let me know. We're doing it via Discord and TTS. And then over the next few years, I have several more games coming out. So you should buy many, many copies of all of those as well. But Sasha, Eric, thanks for coming on and playtesting as always. It's been great. Neil, John, Chris, thanks for bringing your game on and showing it to us and sharing with us, and being open to our criticisms and feedbacks, and genuinely, we love being here and doing this, and hopefully it was helpful for you and will help push your game in a direction that you end up deciding you like. Because no matter what feedback people give you, do not forget that it is your vision. Sometimes people do. They're like, well, what's going to sell better? And sometimes that's a consideration. Especially if you're a full-time game publisher, then that consideration matters a lot more. But at the level of hobbyist, make a game you really like and that you really enjoy playing. Don't make it super hard for people to learn, of course. But don't of all the stuff we said, none of it's hey, you should do this or you're doing it wrong. It's all hey, we just want to help, and we think these things are areas that need attention. You may disagree, and that's totally okay. Anyway, I always forget to tell people that it is your vision, and you get to have the vision that you have. And the things that people tell you are problems may very well be problems, but the way we tell you to fix it might not be the right way that's true to your vision. But anyway, really appreciate you coming on. Thanks to Brian for sending you our way. Let's get the heck out of here, huh? Wait, did you guys already say how they can find and support you? You already did, right?
Yeah, we don't have much.
Okay.
The Discord.
Just the Discord.
Okay, I wanted to make sure I didn't totally blow it. Okay, and thanks for those of you who showed up in the chat as well. Let's get out of here. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks for having us. Thanks for playing.
Thanks.
Yeah. Thanks